Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Um, for some reason, just when I was about to go live, I was informed by YouTube that a video which I published, I don't know, a year ago or so, was taken down because of a copyright claim. And it turns out it was a false copyright claim, and that was by this guy. That one, uh, the Muslim apologist Menj, who was arrested for possession of child pornography. Um, I published a video where I clipped what he said to me during a debate, which was that he called Christians a bad word. And for some reason, he now copyright claimed that, and YouTube is still not smart enough to notice a false copyright claim, so they kind of took it down. And I sent a notice and also reported him for a false copyright claim, which under YouTube's guidelines, supposedly, is usually punished with a direct channel termination. I hope they stick to that. Yeah. Anyway. I don't really care about that guy. I mean, he's just a child pornography possessing kind of guy, and his name is Menj, so I don't really care. Nobody likes him. All right, today we want to review something here, and that is a conversation that happened between Piers Morgan and this other dude. Piers Morgan and Piers Morgan and this guy. Abdul Wahid, who is a Britain leader of the group Hizb ut-Tahrir. Hizb ut-Tahrir, for those who are not aware, I should have actually invited somebody from Hizb ut-Tahrir or an ex-Hizb ut-Tahrir person on this live stream. I will do that here on the side. Maybe she's watching. I don't know. Sometimes she's watching. Deborah, if you're watching, please send me a message. So that you can come live with me and comment on this as well together with me. In fact, let me arrange this while being here and while talking to make it look like I am talking and there's something going on and there's not just blank silence here. I am just talking right now to talk. Topic Hizb ut-Tahrir. Okay. So I might have a guest on here, but again, so this guy is a leader for Hizb ut-Tahrir in the UK, and Hizb ut-Tahrir is a group that is that has this aim of establishing an Islamic caliphate, but they don't practice direct terrorism, only indirect terrorism. So they make excuses for terrorists, defend terrorists, don't condemn terrorists, and want to establish Islam around the world, want to create an Islamic world where everything is ruled under Sharia, and the Sharia terrorism is applied to every human being on the planet of the earth. But lots of it will already be exposed here, so let's have a look at that. This is weird. Anyway, okay, let's see.
Welcome back to Uncensored. My next guest has been a GP with the NHS for 25 years, working as a mentor for recently qualified doctors at his surgery.
Working as a mentor? Muslim Brotherhood connected. Yes, Hizb ut-Tahrir is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, actually.
In Harrow, northwest London. Dr. Wahid Azif Shader has another less wholesome identity as leader of an Islamic extremist group, which was recently caught on camera calling for jihad at an anti-Israel demonstration.
What is the solution to liberate people in the concentration camps called Palestine?
Jihad!
What is the solution?
Jihad!
Dr. Shader, also known as Abdul Wahid, joins me now. Well, welcome to you. Thank you for coming in today.
This is the funny thing. They call therefore jihad in a land where Muslims are living and where they already do jihad, which means fighting for Allah. They will they will say that they don't call for the same thing in the West, for example, where Muslims live as a minority for now. They want to peacefully and politically establish Islam, they say. But once Muslims are capable of it, they have no problem calling for violence in the name of Allah. That's what they do.
You've come from your work as an NHS GP.
Yeah.
Let me first just ask you your reaction to the clip we just played. These are members of your organisation and they're allowed chants of jihad on the streets of London. Do you think that's acceptable?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. That demonstration was a very carefully planned demonstration where the placards, the banners, the speeches from the platform were calling for a military intervention of official armies of Muslim countries to rescue the people of Gaza, with a situation of a civilian population of 2 million.
Oh, so it's no big deal because he wasn't calling for, jihad through terrorism. They were calling for jihad through, through armies. So armies fighting for Allah, for the Muslims, and fighting the Jews, not terrorists fighting for Allah and fighting. Now it all makes sense. Okay, I'm ending this live stream here. Okay, case closed.
Who are being massacred and slaughtered. Anywhere else in the world, you would find it a completely straightforward thing for people calling for military intervention.
But they weren't chanting, we want military intervention. They were chanting jihad. So my question for you is simply, do you support the chanting of jihad?
The chanting of jihad by somebody there, unscripted.
Well, quite a few people there.
Actually, no. It was about 2 people.
So you would condemn that?
Of course, I wouldn't condemn that.
You wouldn't?
No, because jihad in that context is as they understood it, and they were chanting, is for the official armies of Muslim countries to enter and intervene.
Of course. Yeah, a few of them chanted that, and of course that wasn't planned. But no, I won't condemn it because they have a point. Because they were just, going for the same thing. Therefore, this whole I didn't see this interview. I didn't watch it. I'm watching most of it for the first time. I only saw a few clips, only a few parts. But the few parts that I saw are going like this, pretty much. But actually worse, some parts that I saw, where he tries to make it look like no, nothing wrong is happening. Nothing wrong is happening. It's just, depending on the context and depending on the circumstances and, this word and that word and all those words and all of these other words and so on.
In a situation now, Piers, where 1% of the population of Gaza has been killed in the space of 2 months. 1% of the children of Gaza have been killed. Anywhere else in the world, you yourself called for military intervention in Ukraine by NATO with probably less legal and moral cause than there is in Gaza. When we stand...
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Do you think that when Vladimir Putin illegally invaded Ukraine, the moral right of Ukrainians to respond is somehow equivalent to...
Hold up. So the claim is that 1% of the population of Gaza was killed in this war. Now, first off, I must say one thing, which is killing people is not something that I would describe as great, as ideal, not something that I would describe as desirable, as fantastic, as something to have joy over. But, and this is only a thing that I want to say off the very beginning. High numbers of deaths does not mean you are not wrong. High numbers of deaths does not mean you are right. On the contrary, if a just war takes place, and in this just war, one side kills significantly higher numbers of the other side than the other side does, that should be considered a success. Yes, it should be considered a success. And I'm not talking about civilian deaths. I'm talking about deaths overall, if those are justified, if they are necessary, if they arise in a state of war. Now, he said 1% of the population. Gaza has a population of 590,000. According to the Hamas numbers, because for some reason we are supposed to trust Hamas, the Gaza Health Ministry, according to the Hamas numbers, we have around how many deaths now? 18,000 deaths. 18,000 were killed. Ah, interesting. 18,000 were killed. Is that 1% really? Is it? Huh. And of those, why were they killed? Are they all civilians? Of course they are. They are all civilians because according to Hamas, everyone is a civilian. They don't differentiate between them at all. Everyone is a civilian, right? Everyone is a civilian. According to Israel, they have precision and they have so far killed 2 civilians for 1 combatant. No reason to doubt this, although I don't take this for a fact, because in the past we have had Israel stating their numbers and the UN later on confirming this after the war. Hold on, I might get a guest here. But what was I saying? Yeah, so if those numbers are right, then half of these are not even civilians. Half of these are actual combatants. If the numbers are not accurate, then you could say that there seems to be a high number of civilians, but then who are civilians according to Hamas? We have shown videos. We have seen endless videos where civilians, alleged civilians in Gaza, are walking around with RPGs, are walking around with weapons. They are fighting, and so on. Who decides who actually is a civilian and who is a combatant in this matter? Hold on, I am about to go probably have somebody on here, just trying to make sure it happens. Let's see. Let us see. Oh, okay. Yeah, won't have a guess. Let me just continue.
The moral right of people in Palestine after October the 7th to do the same. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the people of Ukraine have actually one of the most powerful armies in the region.
It doesn't change the fact they were illegally invaded, does it, Doctor?
The people of Gaza have nobody help. People of Ukraine have
is somehow equivalent to the moral right of people in Palestine after October the 7th to do the same. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the people of Ukraine have actually one of the most powerful armies in the region.
It doesn't change the fact they were illegally invaded, does it, Doctor?
The people of Gaza have nobody help.
Okay, another very stupid point. The people of Ukraine, so when Ukraine defends itself, that's apparently okay, but when Gaza defends itself, that's apparently not okay. Completely wrong comparison here. Plus, if Ukraine has the means to fight, for example, and Gaza doesn't have the means to fight, that probably has to do with the fact that Ukraine is an actual country, an actual nation that is established and that has had its roots and its legitimate formation in that region forever, whereas Gaza was never a nation, only recently claimed to be a nation, or Palestine claimed to be a nation. And the fact that they don't have the best standards around the world comes from the fact that they have not made peace and have not agreed to a proper peace settlement with the very people whose land they claim. The Gaza Strip is a tiny portion of this land where they are currently confined because they refuse to make peace with Israel, because they refuse to accept any peace agreement, because they refuse to reject violence. And here's another thing. I played a clip so many times by now, which showed that when a Hamas spokesperson was interviewed quite recently, and he was asked why they didn't build shelters for their civilian population, they said they don't feel the need to do it because it is not their responsibility. On the other hand, they have the means to build hundreds of kilometers of tunnels under Gaza in order to fight and defend themselves. So obviously they have the means to fight. Obviously they don't care about the civilians. Obviously fighting is all they want to do. Let them fight then. What's the problem?
Well, they have Hamas. They have a terror.
Nobody helping.
Well, hang on. They have a terrorist organization called Hamas.
They have nobody helping.
They've got 30,000 terrorists.
They have.
Who committed a
Why would anybody help them? It was Hamas themselves who on October 7 attacked. It's Hamas themselves who are at war, who choose to be at war. Choose to be at war. Yes, I say it again, choose to be at war. This is a very simple fact. Had Hamas agreed in 2005, in 2006, in 2007, and from then on to come to the table and stop fighting, there wouldn't be a war. Hamas is at war. That's why. Why would anybody help then?
October the 7th,
They
an
have
act of
lined up
unspeakable
against them.
terrorism.
They have lined up against them the murderous Israeli Defense Force. They have lined up against them the United States, who this week, today in the Washington Post, it was said that the white phosphorus that's being used by the IDF is supplied by them. They have lined up against them the Britain and the EU. They have lined up against them the Arab rulers in the region who carry on their trade cooperation.
Listen, as I've made clear, Doctor, I think a lot of the
So our terrorists, they don't have anybody to stand with them. The terrorists are attacked by the USA. They're attacked by the United Nations. Not by the United Nations is protecting the terrorists right now. The terrorists are attacked by the IDF. The terrorists are even attacked by other Arab states. I wonder why. First off, they are supported by Qatar and by Iran and by other nations and organizations. Secondly, they are a terrorist group. The fact that they don't have much support from the good places and some support from the disgusting places and horrible nations, sorry to say that, doesn't mean that they are good ones, again.
response from Israel, particularly right now, I would deem to be testing everyone's sense of what is proportionate, right? There's no question. I do not subscribe to the view it's genocide. Well,
that is the understatement of the century.
Possibly, but I think they have I think they have a right to defend themselves against a terror group who have gone on record in the last 2 weeks as saying they want to do what happened on October the 7th again and again.
Children of
I
Gaza.
understand. It's horrific.
How? Okay. Okay, that was the point. 1% of the children of Gaza. That's what he said. He first misspoke. Then he corrected it. I gather that now, and now he's saying 1% of the children of Gaza. All right. So here is a scenario. I am in charge of a country, of a nation, and first off, I will play this part first before I come to that scenario.
البعض يتساءل، وهذا سؤال رائج وشائع، يعني من قام بتشييد 500 كيلومتر من الأنفاق، لماذا لم يشيد مآوي يلجأ إليها المدنيون خلال القصف؟
So you have built 500 kilometers of tunnels. Why haven't you built shelters where people can hide?
نحن شيدنا الأنفاق لأنه لا نملك ما ندفع به عن أنفسنا من القتل والاستهداف. هذه الأنفاق من أجل أن نحمي أنفسنا من الطائرات، نحمي مقاتلين من الأنفاق.
We built the tunnels all for ourselves to protect ourselves because we are fighting from there and we don't want to be bombed.
أما القطاع غزة فأنت تعلم والجميع يعلم بأنه 75% منه لاجئين، واللاجئين هو مسؤولية الأمم المتحدة في.
Everybody knows that in Gaza 75% of the population are refugees, which is a very loosely applied term here because they don't want to accept that they can't go back to Israel. Therefore, it is the United Nations' job to protect them, not our job.
حمايتهم مسؤولية الاحتلال في أن يقدم كل تبعا لاتفاقية جنيف الدولية أن يقدم لهم كل الخدمات وهم تحت الاحتلال.
They are under occupation, which is not really an occupation. They are not under direct occupation. So therefore, long story short, the answer to the question, why don't you build shelters while you are building tunnels to fight? The answer to that question is, well, we build shelters to continue fighting, to protect ourselves from bombardments. We don't believe it's our job to build shelters for the civilian population. We don't care about them. We don't care about that. We just care about protecting ourselves. So even if there was truth to the idea that it is technically not their business, which is an absurd thing to say. Imagine this group goes around, the government in charge of the population, elected by them, by the way, goes around deliberately fighting Israel instead of choosing peace, which they know will result in a major war zone, in bombardments, in attacks, and they think, we have the means to build shelter, but we just don't care because it's not our responsibility. We would rather just build tunnels to fight. So they not only invite the bombardments by their fighting, for which they spent their money, they also refuse to protect the civilian population because they say, not my job. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It's not my job. Man. And then there are other videos of them saying we will do this over and over again. Our nation, we are martyrs. We will sacrifice our people. We are proud of that.
We're proud of that.
And so on. So now in that situation, let's get back to the scenario. In that situation, I am Hamas. I am in charge of hundreds and thousands of people. And I refuse to make peace with my opponent. I specifically directly provoke them repeatedly and go to war and attack them. They then say, okay, you know what? We have had enough of this. Enough is enough. We will respond by declaring war and bombing your place and your cities and your locations. And we also issue a warning for 2 weeks before we do this for the civilian population to evacuate certain areas that are our target and to go to safer places. But I, Hamas, the government, tell my civilian population, you know what, don't listen to them. Stay exactly where you are. And some of my civilian population says, yes, okay, we're going to stay here. We're going to stay right here where Israel is going to bomb. Others want to leave, but Hamas prevents them from leaving. As a result of that, the bombings happen and children die, families die, women die, people die. And what do I do then? I then pick up the dead bodies of my children and of my women and of my families and say, look at this. They killed my child. They killed my family. They killed my women. This should be considered more disgusting, more reprehensible than actually killing the child. Because in that case, the child is not being brutally killed and murdered by the opposing side. The opposing side even gives you 2 weeks of warnings, 2 damn weeks of warnings to say, get away from there. The murder is done by your side, by your government, by your people who obey that government, by your people who keep their children in a war zone. They are accountable for this. It's not Israel. Hamas is accountable for this.
It's horrific.
It's beyond horrific.
What is it? It's horrific,
because
right?
literally what we are watching on our phones, on our laptops, on our TVs is an extension of what's been happening since 1948.
But let me play you your reaction. All right, I understand. Let me play you after October.
1948 was when Arabs declared war on Israel, when Israel was declared as a state because they didn't like it, which, by the way, happened after they declared war, after they started the civil war in 1947. And since then, they have been at war with Israel because they lost the war. That's it. So that's what's been happening. They have been fighting. They can't accept the situation. They can't accept that they lost a war that they started, which is why they are now complaining about oppression. When they could just accept the tiny parts of land, yes, I'll say it again, the tiny parts of land that they have now left in comparison to what they actually initially had, because they were greedy, declared war and lost, when they could just accept that and make peace. They keep fighting, and now they're complaining about oppression. That's it. Nobody should care at this point. Nobody should have any sympathy for these nonsensical, idiotic claims. The historicity is the history of it is that the Arab side didn't like the plans. They didn't like Israel. They didn't like Jews. They didn't like the Zionists. They declared war because they wanted more. They wanted all of the land, and they wanted to kick them out. They didn't get their way because they lost, and they have been complaining ever since. If you didn't like what you initially had, settle for 10% of it if that's what you have left. If you don't settle for that, then I'm sorry, nobody cares about your claims of oppression. Nobody should care. People do care because people just don't know, people don't think it through, but nobody should care.
October the 7th, a few days later, you took part in a talk on YouTube and you said this.
Brave Mujahideen, they gave the enemy a punch on the nose.
all right? And it's a very welcome punch on the nose.
A very welcome punch on the nose. He says that in response to over 1,000 people killed in the most brutal ways by Hamas, around 300 of which, by the way, were simply people at a music festival who had no connection, nothing to do with military, nothing to do with any of that. They were just there partying, and Hamas brutally slaughtered them, around 300 of them. And that, according to these guys, according to this guy here, is a well-deserved, justified punch in the nose. See, they can justify all kinds of atrocities. They can justify the brutal massacre, the killing, the mistreatment, the beheading, the raping, the burning of people, because it's justified. It's oppression. But once a slap is given back to them, they will call it oppression. They will call it genocide.
Can you categorize a terror attack in which 1,200 mostly innocent civilian people were brutally attacked, raped, tortured, beheaded, and murdered? How can you, a British NHS doctor or NHS doctor in Britain, how can you say that's a welcome punch on the nose?
Will you let me answer fully?
Yes.
I will be frank. I'll be as concise as I can be. But if you give me the courtesy of letting me answer fully.
Okay.
I will defend the right of the Palestinians to resist an occupation. When you look at that...
That's not resistance, that's terrorism.
When you look at what happened and the 7th of October, as if that is the day that everything started...
I didn't say that.
You see, he says, if you let me respond fully, okay, that's a very fair demand. And then he begins by twisting the subject and responding to a different issue. We're specifically talking about October 7. If you want to say it didn't start on October 7, if you want to give context to it and go like, it started long before that, you're basically trying to set up a justification for brutal terrorist attacks on October 7th. The topic is October 7th. We get it. You have grievances with the past because your side lost the war they started. We get it. We understand. But talking about October 7, do you think that is good or not? Yes or no? Simple answer. If you're going to go back into the history to provide a context for this, it doesn't matter. You're just setting up a justification for the terrorist attack. That's it.
You didn't say that, but when people look at that...
Do you think what happened that day was a terrorist attack?
When people look...
Do you?
You know, the word terrorism has become so politicized.
Actually, not really.
The word
you can
terrorism,
be deeply sympathetic to the plight of Palestinian civilians, which I am, by the way.
Imagine this guy, the Christchurch mosque shooter, several years ago, when he went in New Zealand to a mosque and massacred a bunch of innocent people, and I condemned it severely. When he massacred a bunch of Muslims in the mosque to make a political statement about racism, about his race, and wanted to go on massacring other people, other minorities. That was called terrorism. Should the guy just, in defense, come out and say, you know what? It depends on the context, because I think it was justified because of the oppression and the manipulation and everything that we are facing as white people. And the term terrorism has just been so politicized. Okay, well, great. Sorry, but terrorism is very clear. Terrorism has very clear definitions by the United Nations, by nations around the world. October 7 was a massive act of terrorism. That's it.
And I've expressed many times. What you can't do is be weaselly-mouthed about what happened on October the 7th.
I asked you to
let me finish. That was a grotesque terror attack.
You to finish.
Yeah, but you're equivocating about it being a terror attack.
I'm not equivocating, and I will explain why.
Yes, you
are. The word terrorism, by the way, in India last month.
We're not talking about India. Talk about what's happening.
The word terrorism in India people who supported the Australian cricket team have been arrested under terrorist offences. In the West Bank, people who...
This is a very very typical fallacy. This is a red herring. This is a red herring. He answers a question, a controversial question, which puts him on the spot by introducing completely irrelevant pieces of information to divert. This is a diversion tactic, to divert the attention to something else. Now, whether it eventually somehow connects to the point or not is besides the point. He is clearly introducing a piece of information to the conversation that has nothing to do with the conversation at hand, and thereby diverting people's attention, because answering the question directly and talking about it is too uncomfortable.
Who are revealing, have been told, if you reveal what happened in the prisons, you will be arrested on terrorist
Do you
charges.
think what happened October the 7th was a terror attack?
It's a
Did
resistance.
you say no?
It's a resistance.
Not a terror attack.
Piers, if, and it's
You're
if.
NHS GP.
If, I'm asking you to let me finish. If, right, our Islamic standard in conflict, in warfare, our Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, you can't kill children, you can't kill women, you can't kill the elderly, you can't mutilate.
Hamas did all that.
If anybody did that,
What do you mean if?
I say if because...
They literally broadcast it on their own streaming platforms.
Well, I'll tell you what a lot of us saw.
Hamas broadcast it merrily to the world. And here's us doing these...
See, he's not even acknowledging that it actually happened, which just makes me want to put it all on the screen. But hey, here's what Muhammad said, by the way. I bring this up for the 1000th time. It is reported on the authority of Sa'b bin Jathama that the Prophet of Allah, when asked about the women and the children of the polytheists being killed during the night raid, said they are from them. So they raid the polytheists and they kill women and children while they are raiding. They come and ask Muhammad. They say, oh Prophet, oh dear Prophet, when we go there and we raid, we kill women and children too. What are you going to say about that? He's like, they are from them. That's Muhammad's comments here. And hey, right now, Hamas is doing the same thing, and the supporters are doing the same thing. That's it. Or they do what this guy does, and they don't even acknowledge the fact that civilians, that women and children were killed, that they were brutally murdered on that day. At this point, I'm just wondering, since we still have so many people here who, and everywhere I see them on Twitter, on other platforms, people who say, well, where's proof? Where are videos? There are so many videos. They don't want to look at them. If they see them, they want to ignore them. I wonder if I should just put all of the footage together that I can find and just upload it all as one long video. That might be like, I don't know, 2 hours long or so. I think I'll do that. I'll do that. See what happens there.
Terrible things.
And what do
you mean if?
What many of us saw on that day were videos coming out showing people saying, we will not harm women, we will not harm children.
Do me a favor.
No, that's what...
Doctor.
I'm saying that. Resistance is a right in Islam. It's a right in international law. It's even a right that...
So apparently this guy was blind and only focused on one part of the information of some video, which, according to which they said, we shall not harm women. We shall not harm children. We shall not do any such thing. Yeah. Apparently that's what he saw. He didn't see the other issues. Like, I don't know, he didn't encounter, for example, on-site footage of people being murdered in the streets. He didn't encounter people cheering, brutally killing people, taking a concubine. He didn't encounter civilians from Gaza, by the way, or maybe terrorists arriving at the scene where Hamas brutally killed and set on fire women lying on the ground, and then celebrating about that. Apparently, he didn't encounter those things. He didn't encounter... What else have we got here? He didn't encounter apparently the footage of Shiny Luke being paraded naked on the back of a truck, which I don't want to put on the screen again because I did it too often and I feel kind of sickened by that. Apparently he didn't encounter any of these things. He didn't see them because they somehow they don't exist, or he's blind. He can only see videos that put Hamas in a positive light, apparently. I'm sorry, but these apologists, these Muslim apologists and Hamas apologists, when they respond like this and they don't acknowledge that these videos exist, and they divert by bringing up the positive sides, then they are only showing to us that they are completely dishonest, inhuman, and that you should possibly not take any appeal to humanity from them seriously, because they obviously don't care about the facts. They obviously don't care about civilians killed by Hamas. They obviously don't give a crap about that. So why would you take their feelings? Why would you take their statement seriously? This guy goes here on TV in front of thousands of people, soon to be viewed by 1 million people, and refuses to acknowledge the very simple fact, now confirmed by undeniably large numbers of sources and people, that Hamas brutally murdered civilians, women, on that day, and children. We have that too. I don't want to put it on the screen now, but I think at this point I will put a major video with all the footage together. Hector said only 12 minutes late. We're lucky the trajectory didn't continue as it is. Nose to Might said, watch I'm White and I'm Woke by Eden Alterman. I will have a look at that. I'll see that. I'll see. Thank you. The Tater said, from the river to the sea, Muhammad drank camel pee. He did. From the rivers to the sea, if you go like this, you will never see a land where you will be free to kill the Jews and to live in glee. Oh, okay, good. That worked. Kenny Demeters became a YouTube member. Hey, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. See, that was freestyle. I should become a rapper. YouTube is censoring my comments. Said, can you please explain the moral justification for killing Rifat al-Harir? Has Israel put out a statement about how it was justified killing? You mean the Rifat is the journalist, right? Rifat al-Harir. I don't even know how he was killed. I know that he did. I know that he is probably dead. That he did die in an airstrike. Not sure how and why. But the issue is, the problem with that is that people will bring up his death and will therefore then accuse Israel of atrocities. And I don't know the circumstances under which he was killed. And I can't say his death is justified for the following reasons. But what this immediately brings to mind is his own words and how he described certain atrocities. And let me see. I think I saved that somewhere. Let me see. I saved it. Oh yeah, here. Look at this stuff. Threat on Rifat al-Harir. He says, shame on you to this politician from Nepal who condemns the terrorist attacks and the killing of civilians. He accuses Ilhan Omar, of all people, of sounding like an Israeli neo-Nazi minister because she condemned the violence against unarmed people, including children, women, and the elderly. Shame on you, what a horrible take, again, he says, because she condemned the attack on children, women, and the elderly and unharmed people. Imagine, you condemn somebody because they condemn attacks on civilians, on people, on women and children. Condemns another person for precisely that. Loss of life of civilians. Shame on you for supporting Israeli occupation. Same thing again. Hamas is deeply unpopular in Gaza. The way Israel is waging war will ensure their survival. My latest opinion piece with the forward translation: the Jews brought the Holocaust on themselves. He said about the killing of civilians here, all Israelis are soldiers. This is a fact. Most Israelis have Palestinian and Arab blood on their hands. Another fact. So when civilians are killed on the other side, he says, no big deal. They're all soldiers. They all have blood on their hands. It's good. Here, a footage from terrorists going through the settlement, by the way, through a kibbutz and killing people. He considers that an honorable military parade. Third-class Jews as human shields to protect white Jews. Great job. Israelis were killed combatants. Israeli forces were responsible for some of their own civilian deaths, twisting things. There was another issue. Oh yeah, here. David Afun said, a baby was found in an oven, baked to death by Hamas terrorists. Leading Israeli first responder recounted to an RJC gathering last night. His group was among the first to respond to and witness the October 7 atrocities. His response to that is with or without baking powder. The report is about a baby found in an oven, baked to death by Hamas terrorists. His response to that is with or without baking powder. I don't defend the killing of journalists, civilians, or anything like that. But you know what? Why would I give a shit about this guy?
Churchill said in his History of the English-speaking peoples that he actually wrote in that book, it is a primary right of men to kill and die for the land they live in.
You literally just read me a description of what people who follow Islam are not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And Hamas did all of those things. But your response is to say, well, hang on, I've seen videos of them saying, we don't want to do that stuff.
No, yes.
I find that pretty offensive, Doctor.
We
all know they did it because they boasted to the...
Selective attention. Nudas said, hey, Nudas made a very nice donation of $150, a very nice super chat. Said, I've been busy lately and haven't been able to watch you live in a little bit. How have you been? Take my jizya with extra for the streams. I missed my jizya payment on. Also, have you tried the new Crusader Kings 3 DLC yet? Very nice to see you again, Nudas. And thank you so much for the very, very nice, very generous super chat, which will support this channel. I'm doing quite fine under the given circumstances. I think everyone is a little bit agitated nowadays. Thank you for the jizya. This will protect your life as a dhimmi, as a protected citizen. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't tried the Crusader Kings 3 DLC yet. I'm currently not really jumping into any of the games to try out any new aspects of it. I'm just constantly reading and researching stuff, and then occasionally playing something, and that would be then Hearts of Iron 4, which I should live stream on my new gaming channel.
World with their own videos, what they were doing.
I find it amazing that respected journalists like yourself have seemed to have suspended their critical faculties.
No, I'm believing what Hamas wanted me to see.
Well, you're believing what you saw.
What Hamas themselves broadcast to the world because they wanted to take great glee in what they've done. There's no ambiguity about it.
I asked you to let me finish.
I would like to play footage every single time this comes up to show it to everyone again and again and again and again. But how many more times can I put the brutal atrocities on the screen for everyone to see? The blood on the screen for everyone to see, the atrocities, the brutalities for everyone to see, just for people to then go and deny it again. You can put it on major channels, you can put it on TV screens, you can put it everywhere. They just choose to deny it once again. This is interesting because in the past I wondered how people can be Holocaust deniers, for example, which is by now very well documented and even attested to by people who engaged, literally, directly, in person, engaged in mass killing Jews during the Nuremberg trials, for example. I was wondering, what would lead people to being Holocaust deniers and insisting on it, and even when they are confronted with all the evidence. But then I get it; they are just in denial because they hate the Jews, and that's what they like to do. But then we have this situation where the brutal massacres happened in front of our eyes, and we now have accumulated so much hours of footage, witness testimonies, even these guys themselves admitting that they actually did kill civilians. And yet we have people like this guy come here and still deny it. Jeez.
I'm going to.
You've got to answer questions.
I will answer the question. Let's agree on a principle. If atrocities were committed, right, I will never condone them. Right, I will say that.
So do you condemn what happened on October the 7th?
If atrocities are committed, you know who's
What do you mean
responsible?
if?
This is so messed up. Imagine I can be a complete oppressor. I can go around massacring, torturing, doing all kinds of things to people, and then say, well, you know what? I'm against any sort of oppression, any sort of mistreatment of human beings. If it occurred, of course, I will condemn it. I would never condone it. If it occurred, yes. Okay, but we all saw it happen. So do you condemn it or not? Well, I have to say, if it happened, I would definitely condemn it. Great. This is about as bad as condoning those things, because you're just denying the evil that happened, which everyone saw, and thereby basically condoning it, enabling it, making excuses for it. Imagine the next time Hamas attacks, they will just repeat it, and they will do even worse. They will kill more civilians if you do a ceasefire now with them, which is why no ceasefire should be made, and they will get away with it. And they will have learned that even after the biggest attack, the biggest massacre of civilians in Israel, they got away with it and people justified it, so they can just do it again. What's the big deal?
They were.
Who's responsible for it then?
So you don't condemn it?
Okay, who is responsible?
Well, the Jews brought it on themselves.
No, actually, I would say more than that. I would say the powers that believe that Israel should be a colony for themselves in the Middle East, they are the ones responsible.
Do you know what? I'm really struggling. I've got to be honest with you. I'm really...
Did you catch that part? He said more than that.
I would say the is responsible.
They were.
Who's responsible for it then?
So you don't condemn it?
Okay, who is responsible?
Well, the Jews brought it on themselves.
No, actually, I would say more than that.
The Jews brought it on themselves. Actually, I would say more than that. That's huge strike number one.
I would say the powers that believe that Israel should be a colony for themselves in the Middle East, they are the ones responsible.
Do you know what? I'm really struggling.
And then the powers that believe Israel should be a colony in the Middle East for themselves. All right, dear terrorist advocate and dear genocide enabler, dear terrorist. Yeah, dear terrorist, dear advocate and enabler and lover of terrorism, who agrees with the statement the Jews brought it upon themselves, and who adds to that as well. I really don't want to say what I want to say in response to that. I really don't want to make the comparison that I have in my head right now that I want to make in response to that, because it will be very, very messed up. Very messed up. But I don't know. You know what? In moments like this, I'm just losing my patience and my patience for any. I'm just thinking, why in the world should I have any respect, any decency, any concern for staying reasonable and not saying unreasonable things? Jeez. So this guy says, yeah, the Jews did bring it upon themselves, what happened to them on October 7th. And furthermore, also those powers that want Israel to be... First off, Israel is not a colony. Parts of the population did arrive there in the 20th century. Jews also did live there for forever, basically forever, and weren't treated perfectly well by the Muslims. Lots of the Arabs living in the region, especially the Muslim Arabs living in the region, are people who also came there to the region as settlers, who came to the region after the Islamic conquests, who mixed with the population, and so on. So if there is a colony there, there is no colony there. There simply is no colony there, unless you want to describe as a colony any project where a part of the population migrates to a certain place. Because if you want to describe that as colonization, then yeah, you are basically colonizing Europe right now. Your presence in Europe is a colonization. And there is even a big difference here. The Jews actually belonged to that place, at least at some point in history, while many of them were there throughout history. You have no place in Europe at all. So if that's what you describe as colonization, then you are a colonizer in Europe. And according to your statements here, apparently violence against colonizers is justified. Do you really want to go down that path?
I've got to be honest with you. I'm really struggling. A British National Health Service doctor of 25 years,
Yes.
a man who's supposed to be seeing patients all day, every day and putting them right, is incapable of saying what happened when it was literally broadcast to the world by a terror group. Nor do you think they're terrorists. You think it's resistance. You seem to want to go every way to justify it. You don't even believe what they showed us with their own technology. And I'm just curious. Do you think any of this is compatible with you being a doctor in the National Health Service?
You don't have.
Baz said Palestine has existed since the 1st century. That is disingenuous. I don't know if you mean this, but right now is the very wrong time to leave such stupid comments. Because I feel like, despite the fact that I always want to be very nice to people in the chat, it's the very wrong time for that. So it's really a very, very wrong time for that right now. But Palestine, if you mean Palestine as a name that was given to a place by some Greeks at some point in time, then adopted by Romans for a larger place, incorrectly, by the way, but for provocative reasons. Yes, as a name it existed. Yeah, as a name it did exist. As a name for a region, it existed. As a name for a region named after an ancient population, who, by the way, were settlers from seafaring Greek populations, yes, that did exist. But Palestine as a nation, Palestinians as a nation, as a people, certainly did not exist. That is nonsense, complete nonsense. Palestinian as a nation was developed in the middle of the 20th century and only became popularized in the 1960s. And that name came from the fact that the Europeans named that place Palestina. You can't even pronounce it. The original word there is Peliset or Pelishet, and then Palestina. You can't even pronounce it in your Arabic language. You can't even pronounce the sound of the P in Arabic. You pronounce it as Palestine, which is a derivative from Greek, which slightly makes it sound like an F. Because you can't pronounce the actual word Palestine because you don't have the P sound, which is why you could only pronounce it as Palestine, 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 Palestine. Yeah, I am original Palestinian. Yes, I am original Palestinian. We Palestinians lived in this place. Palestine. Sorry. Palestine lived here forever. That's how you pronounce it then, because you can't pronounce it.
Have to be a doctor.
Do your patients know that you believe these things?
You don't have to be a doctor to care for the lives of 2 million people in Gaza. You don't have to be
No,
a
I'm
doctor.
concerned about whether your patients here in this country, where Hamas are a prescribed terrorist organisation.
And I've said to
whether
you-
listening to this
I've said
interview,
to you-
do these patients
I have,
know your
I have
views?
said to you.
Do they know your views?
I don't talk to my patients about my views in a 10-minute consultation, do I? Nobody does that. It's just a foolish question, isn't it? That's a foolish question. Yeah. Nobody talks to.
Why do you use a different name?
I use my name.
Well,
My
you don't.
name.
You have two names. One, the leader of the group.
Yeah. Abdul Wahid is a name that family, friends, and other people call me.
Right.
Actually, even some people.
But that's not the name you use at work, right?
Okay, so that's not his real name. That's just the name that he's known by, Abdul Wahid, which, by the way, means a servant or slave of the one God.
Even some people at work. And Wahid Asif Sheda is my legal name, which people use in other forums. That's not a very unusual.
In May 2023.
Okay, yeah, that's not a very strong point, I would say, on Piers Morgan's behalf. It's not entirely unusual for people, especially for religious Muslims in some religious groups or religious traditions to, for example, if his name is Wahid something, to then use Abdul Wahid as a name, because there's often this idea that because Wahid, for example, is a name of Allah, some people might name their child Wahid, but then the person might think it is religiously not appropriate for me to carry that name. I would rather consider myself Abdul Wahid. So I must say, in that case, yeah, that was not an entirely fair point on Pierce's behalf, and he's not very well informed there.
Piers, no, I have to. No,
I'm going to ask you.
I'm just trying to be fair to the Muslim guy, because I'm just doing that so I can bash him even more in a little bit. Yeah.
You did not give me the courtesy.
You know
of letting
why?
me
Because
finish.
your answers were so outrageous.
You censor. That's your answer.
No.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
censor. The person doing the censoring is you.
No,
with
you are
respect,
censoring.
Who wants me to
You are
try and
censoring.
understand and believe that what Hamas showed us, boasted about with their own technology, broadcasting it to the world, was not what we saw. That's called censorship.
Well,
that is actually the purest personification
I tell you
of
what.
censoring the truth.
That is actually a good point. That is actually a good point, because he's actually denying what everyone can see, what we have all seen, what is clearly documented, in order to issue his defense of Hamas. He hides the truth literally, to make his point and to advocate for his Islamic jihadist agenda. That's it. Well put by Piers. Good on you.
I've ever encountered.
When you bring Mark Regev onto the show, and you question him, lightweight questioning, albeit lightweight questioning, about the atrocities that have happened.
Well, you think it's lightweight? I actually ask you difficult questions.
Actually, you don't ask difficult questions. Yeah, you completely accept. You sit there and listen to the most ridiculous explanations.
Unlike you and your answers, you mean?
Well, you don't give me the chance to say that.
God, that's so cheeky. Unlike your answers. Man. Hunting Shark said, you seen what happened in Turkish parliament today. Guy says Israel will suffer Allah's wrath, then immediately gets a heart attack. Really? Did that really happen? I sometimes doubt that such coincidences actually took place, but did that really actually happen? I'm trying to think in Turkish to look for it. Let's see. Did that really happen? Okay, I see news of a person in the parliament having a heart attack. I see that. If I could see, let's see. I have to watch it in Turkish and can comment on it. Where is that? Oh no, they're just explaining what happened to him. I want to see the footage. Where's the footage of him having a heart attack? I want to see the footage. Is there really? Come on, man. Okay.
Kurtulamayacaksınız. Vicdan azabından kurtulsanız, tarihin azabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Tarihin azabından kurtulsanız, Allah'ın gazabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Holy shit! What?
Birleşime 20 dakika ara veriyorum.
It is real. What the hell?
Vicdan azabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Vicdan azabından kurtulsanız.
It says if you are, you will not get away from your the pain of your consciousness.
Tarihin azabından kurtulamayacaksınız.
You will not get away from history's pain or wrath.
Tarihin azabından kurtulsanız Allah'ın gazabından kurtulamayacaksınız.
If you get away from that, you will not get away from the wrath of Allah, he says, actually.
Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Then he says, I greet you all with respect to the people, and then he collapses and has a heart attack. Wow. I wasn't aware of this at all.
Birleşime 20 dakika ara veriyorum.
Jeez. Wow. Okay. I wish him all the best, and I don't wish a heart attack on anybody. But man, I really want to review this with David Wood here. I really want to review this with David Wood. Maybe even tonight. I'm going to text him now and have and tell him, hey, let's have a reaction to this, and I want to see his response to this. But let's get one thing straight. If this happened to somebody on the opposite side, if this happened to some Israeli or something, when they invoke God and then they have a heart attack on the spot, this would be used around the world as propaganda to show divine judgment or something like that. This guy actually gave a speech and condemns Israel and says you will not get away from Allah's wrath, and then he has a heart attack immediately. That's wow, that's messed up. That is really messed up. Life. No, I'm seeing news. They say it is a heart attack. Oh my God. Another news report says while he was having a heart attack and collapsing, some people in the parliament said, and this is how Allah issues his wrath to you. That's pretty messed up. Wow. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll probably send this to David now, and we'll probably talk about it. That's really messed up.
Oh, I've heard your answers.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I have.
You didn't.
I have.
You didn't.
You don't? Well, let me. Okay, let's do a little quick fire.
You're telling the answer.
Let's do a little quick fire recap.
us.
Do you think Hamas are a terror group?
I believe it's a resistance
Okay.
organization.
Do you think what they did on October the 7th was a terror attack?
I believe that if civilians got killed on that day, it is appalling. It is appalling.
You're a doctor, man.
It is appalling.
You're a doctor.
He says it is appalling. He doesn't say it's a terrorist attack. He doesn't call them a terrorist group. He doesn't call it a terrorist attack. Hamas is a terrorist attack. They specifically call for the killing of civilians. They do kill civilians, and they did kill civilians on that day. All of this should be clear. It should be firm. It should be quite obvious to anybody who has a proper concept and understanding of what terrorism is and of what Hamas does, unless, of course, you want to make excuses. Just look at this here. Look at this. This is Fatih Hamad, who is in charge of Hamas propaganda in Gaza, who is in charge of Al-Aqsa TV and all the projects that they show. He's a spokesperson for Hamas. Look at this call here during a meeting. He says there are Jews everywhere. Kill them.
يهود في كل مكان يجب أن نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الأرضية ذبحا وقتلا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. بكفي تسخين خلاص اسخننا على آخر احنا اتفجرنا وانت أهل الضفة الغربية إلى متى تسكتون؟ بدنا السكاكين تطلع 5 شيكل ركبة اليهودي حقها قديش عنا 5 شيكل.
How much is a Jew's throat worth? 5 shekels or even less.
أو أقل إن شاء الله تعالى. كل أبناء شعبنا جاهزين للتفجير. عملنا مصنع جديد إن شاء الله تعالى.
We built a new factory for explosive belts. Yeah, this is Hamas. This is Hamas. Hamas in charge of Gaza. They call on people to buy knives and to cut the throats of Jews. They say, a Jew's throat is not worth more than 5 shekels anyway. So take the 5 shekels, buy a knife, and kill a Jew. That's what this guy is saying here. And then also saying we have just started a production. This is a big announcement. Like in America, you get Apple coming out with their new products and announcing the new iPhone. And in Gaza, you have Hamas announcing their new products and coming out with a new suicide belt factory. But yeah, no, not terrorist at all.
Doctor in
I
the
also
NHS.
believe.
What do you mean
I also
if?
believe
Deanna said, "Where can I find this link?" I just retweeted it on Twitter. If you find me there, you can find it right there.
1,200 people got massacred.
And 1% of the population.
I can
Gaza
share your
died.
concerns about what's happened.
You know you don't.
Oh no, I do.
No, you
oh
don't.
no, I do.
16
I do.
years.
But
16
I cannot
years they
believe
live in
a
prison
doctor
camps.
is saying the word
16.
if people got victims of atrocity. If on October the 7th. How can you say that?
So what? You tell me this. What is a proportionate response to 16 years?
No,
of
let's
living in-
Why would you talk? Why would you continue to talk to somebody? I mean, why would it even be worth to continue talking to anybody about the response to the terrorism if the guy doesn't even acknowledge that terrorism happened to begin with? He doesn't even acknowledge that it happened to begin with. He's just trying to cover it up in front of the public.
in a cage.
No.
What is a proportionate
Not
response?
a terror attack.
What is
Not
it then?
a terror
So
attack.
if they just attacked IDF,
Yeah, I've
Thank
asked
you.
many times
if they're
what
just-
is proportionate,
so do you
right?
accept that? So you're saying just to attack the IDF would have been acceptable?
I personally do not believe...
Answer that.
I'm
Is
answering
just
this.
to
Let me
attack
answer
the
your
IDF
question.
acceptable?
I'm going to say this.
We
I
might be
think
able-
Jeez, he can't even answer the question, and he goes to, well, would it be acceptable if they just attacked the IDF? Can you just answer the damn point, man? Of course he can't. He knows how it will look. He doesn't condemn it. They don't condemn the killing of civilians. Islamists and other Hamas fans alike, including the so-called socialists, communists, and many other people around the world who support Hamas, not all of them, those who do, many of them unfortunately do, they don't even condemn it when Hamas kills civilians. They justify it. They're just not brave enough to stand behind that and to say it here on TV in front of the average public. Thank you, Focus on Bible Codes. Nolan Waters made a super chat. Thank you so much for your contribution. I appreciate it very, very much. Very helpful. Caniverse said Somalian press killed someone in Turkey and ran. Angel Jibril said Rasail Woman Shurat 76 narrated Joseph de Maistar, peace be upon him, reported to the prophet to the French, every nation gets the government it deserves. A wisdom for Palestine. Totally. That's what the French prophet whom Allah sent said. Bender said, as long as the West accepts cozying up to the Islamists, then we are all doomed. Indeed we are. Indeed we are. Can you imagine this? The stuff that this guy is saying here on TV, on such a TV channel, in front of Piers Morgan, one of the most well-known journalists in the Western world, in the UK. This stuff here being said on TV, instead of condemning, instead of people, standing up and condemning such inhuman things, as you should accept, you have masses of people agreeing with the terrorist advocate and attacking Piers Morgan over this, and this stuff is becoming normalized. Just imagine an actual Nazi, a neo-Nazi who wants to bring back Nazi Germany and who wants masses of people executed. Goes on TV, argues like this, and then is found by masses of people to be the better one, or to be the correct one, to have done a great job. Imagine that becoming the norm here. Of course, we have all paid so much attention to not turning the neo-Nazi agenda into the norm, but then completely missed the fact that the Islamists, who are not very different, are turning their normal into your norm. Now, many of us did notice that, but we were called Islamophobes, remember?
Able to agree.
I think the strategy at the moment.
Can we answer
let
that?
me answer the
If
question.
they had agreed-
Let me answer the question. Let me answer the
yes
question.
Yes or no? If they had just
answer,
military targets,
my view of what they're doing is I don't think it's going to work. I don't think the IDF is going to eradicate Hamas. And if that is the mission statement, and in the process, they kill tens of thousands of innocent men, women, and children, if they do that, I think they will radicalize an entire new generation and make it worse. That's my honest view of what I'm now witnessing. But let me come.
I would agree that that would be the outcome of that, but I also don't think that the IDF has a way around that, and it is no longer their responsibility. Yeah. If you're responding in a war and you took all the measures for safety, and the other side does not bother to protect their civilian population, it is not the responsibility of the opponent to protect your civilian population. They did everything in their power to do that. Everything in their power to do that. I feel sad. I feel bad for civilians dying when I see it, but it's no longer the IDF's responsibility. Drunk Vax said, please eat a full Quran. I might do it if I put it in a blender and then put it in a sandwich. If I don't know, I have to have a good incentive for that. I won't just do that. Nose to I said Arab League in 1948 declared on Israel a war of extermination and momentous massacre, which will be spoken of like the Mongolian massacre and the Crusades. Then they lost and played the victims. Lucid said, AP, thank you for being a reasonable atheist and not one of those angry ones who thinks all religions are equally bad. Islam is clearly more dangerous. No, all religions are equally bad. All religions bad. All religion bad. No, thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, I won't. I wouldn't do that. Yeah. That would be a very stupid stance to have. Angel Jibril said, did the Jews of Khaybar have a right to resist? They did. They did. They were being oppressed as well. Hunting Shark said, thank you for your work, AP. In a world seemingly gone upside down and becoming more dangerous for me and other Jews, you're a light in the darkness. Wish you all the best and hope for the future. Chatikwa. 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 Yeah. And thank you. Hunting Shark again said, is Rafat burning in hell with baking powder? I shouldn't laugh.
That's why. Hang on. That's why when we talk about a military intervention, it's actually what we want.
But Doctor, what happened on October 7th wasn't a military intervention.
No.
It was a terror attack.
What we want as a military
intervention. And you don't even think it happened, do you?
What we want is a military intervention from Muslim armies to rescue a beleaguered people and replace an apartheid
Palestinian
system.
People have to be given the same human rights.
Would you do me the respect?
They have to be given.
Cement.
No, I will interrupt you. It's not your show. You don't just talk.
Replace. Why don't they acknowledge? Why don't they acknowledge in this? I wonder what he would say in response to the fact that Hamas explicitly preaches that they want to do this over and over again until Hamas is completely eradicated. Do you agree that that is a good goal? I wonder what he would respond to that, because I really want to see some responses from the Islamists in front of everyone's eyes to specifically that very direct question. Because what Hamas states their goal is to eradicate Israel, to continue and do October 7 again and again and again and again until Israel is completely eradicated because it has no right to exist. That's what Hamas spokespeople said. That's what the Hamas spokesperson recently said after the attack. So with that in mind, why would the civilized world let that happen? Why would the civilized world support that and help that side that wants to eradicate the other side? Especially considering the fact that Israel is actually a big player in the world in terms of giving us a lot of things that we use in the world that are actually helpful. Remember, whenever the Israel-Palestine conflict gets heated up, people start making lists of all the brands that are from Israel and that support Israel in some way, and like boycott everything. It's even a good joke in the Muslim community, where some say, if you want to boycott everything from Israel and everything that is connected to Israel or to America, you have to stop using pretty much anything. And On the other hand, if you want to boycott Palestinian goods, please name one. Please name one contribution. Name one thing. Except terrorism. Name one thing except plane hijackings.
Forever,
Well,
right?
What's the point of asking?
I'm going to tell you what I
and
think
even
about the
saying to
Palestinian
me-
plight, which I've talked about many times. You've obviously missed it. I think they should be given the same human rights as everybody
Do you
else,
think that
and
for
particularly
75
the
years
same
they've been
rights of the
occupied?
Israelis. I think it's been a
Do you think-
75-year conflict with.
Conflict.
Yes, a conflict.
I'm sorry, Peter. You are right. I missed that part. I missed that part. I'm very, very sorry. You do have the scarves. You do have those scarves, those big scarves. Yeah, sorry. Oh, wait, that's not even. They didn't even start that. They're just using a different kind of it. Okay, well, see, that didn't work either.
Conflict.
Yes, a
where
conflict.
where people have been driven out
Yes,
of their
a
homes.
conflict.
750,000
Yes,
people in
it's
the
wrong.
Nakba.
That was wrong.
Encroaching on
That
the
was
West
wrong.
Bank more and more and
That
more.
was wrong.
No.
So have been all the wars launched against Israel. That's been wrong. All of it is wrong. Right? The history shows this is a conflict riddled
Things
with
didn't
wrongs on
start
both
on the
sides, right?
7th of October.
No, it
But
didn't.
you-
I never said it did.
Well, you seem to.
No,
The
you
whole-
don't even think it happened
the
on October
whole
the 7th.
framing of your
No,
debate.
you
Piers,
don't even think it happened.
I do think it happened.
Oh, you did
I
happen.
do
It
think
did happen.
It did
1,200
happen.
people were massacred, were
I
they?
think 1,200 people were killed.
Were they massacred?
Yeah, they were killed.
Right,
They
by
were killed.
terrorists.
They were killed by people who were resisting an occupation.
Bullshit.
And
They're terrorists.
yeah, well, that's your view.
It is my view.
Yeah,
By the way, it's the
and
view
so-
of any.
And were they civilians? Can we acknowledge that as well? Were there women and children among them? By the way, I'm not sure if I still have a subscription to Haaretz, and I'm not sure if it can be accessed here without a subscription. But Haaretz has. Oh, I think it does. I think it can. Haaretz has an article here that documents the names and the identities of people that were killed during October 7. One thing that they also did, unfortunately, is they continued after October 7 and are adding all the names of people who were killed in the conflict after October 7. I kind of wish they separated that, because now the number of soldiers is getting higher because soldiers are dying in the conflict. But they have an actual website where you can look at the numbers of people killed on October 7. And these are not all names. These are just most of the names, those that are approved for publication, those that have been cleared legally and were publicly declared. Lots of names are still reserved. Others are still not entirely identified. So Haaretz cannot publish them. But we have a website where you can see the numbers of people killed. You have 815 civilian names. The number of soldiers was much lower. It is getting higher now because they are also counting, as you can see, December 10th, December 10th, December 10th, December 11th, people who are dying right now during the war, during the missions. So they have it right here. They have the names. You can fact check the names. You can look at the footage. You can look at all the witness testimony, all the sources, and all of that. Haaretz is often a very terrible news source for their opinions and some of the things they deliver, but often their stuff is factual, and this here is based on direct data from Israel. So, yeah.
Person who is not Israeli or Palestinian, right? Anyone can look at it and go.
I disagree with that.
Oh,
I disagree with that. One man. Have you not heard the adage? One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Have you never heard that?
Bullshit.
Have you never heard that?
Let me just play. I want to just read you this. In May 2023, look.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. Then somebody who just killed a bunch of civilians is then my freedom fighter. So, okay, no big deal. No big deal. No big deal.
Makim, who's a prominent member of your organization, called for an end to the secular order so that, quotes, the UK will no longer be able to pump its liberal filth, its LGBT filth, its feminist filth into the heart of the Muslim world. Do you agree with him?
I agree.
Wait, I missed what he said. Wait.
Lukman,
Have you never heard that?
let me just play. I want to just read you this. In May 2023, Lukman Hakim, who's a prominent member of your organisation, called for an end to the secular order so that, quotes, the UK will no longer be able to pump its liberal filth, its LGBT filth, its feminist filth into the heart of the Muslim world. Do you agree with him?
Interesting change of topics. Before we continue, let me take a few super chats here. Simon said Muslims are the only people who can defend terror organizations with a straight face. Pretty accurate. Although I would say I also have to include, due to my familiarity with them, lots of communists. I would say communists and Islamists are the only people who can publicly, with a straight face, defend terrorist organizations. Yep. Arabic translated memes, hey, what's up? Said how Hamas switched from chest beating, claiming huge success, to crying the victim card. Reminds me ISIS days, how they boasted staying and expanding, near the end victim card. What about the women and children? Exactly. Imagine supporting the suicide bombers and the attacks by ISIS that we had years ago happening all around Europe. And there were people defending them and justifying them, but not remotely as many as we have now with Hamas. Hamas is currently in fashion. It's the new thing. It's the new special thing. If Hamas now came out and, I don't know, if Hamas did what ISIS did back then, for example, what was the biggest thing? Oh, that bombing of that Ariana Grande concert in the UK, in London, I believe, by ISIS. I wonder if Hamas did that today, would people say, well, first off, it didn't start on that day. It started long before. And let's talk about the motives, and let's talk about the dead. And they will probably do the very same thing now with them. Shakeen Kafir said, keep up the good work. Without lies, Islam dies. Okay, that was Manchester. Okay, sorry for getting it wrong. And thank you for correcting me, dear Johnny English PhD. A cup of Indian tea said, hey, AP, while I was watching this interview, all I could think was about yours and David Wood's response to it, as it was nerve-wracking to watch it alone. And then here you are. Thank you. Where is David Wood? David Wood is probably sleeping because he stays up overnight and then sleeps in the morning, goes to sleep in the morning. That's probably what he's doing now. I just decided to go live and do this stuff. I don't know. But I did text him to go live again tonight together. Noam MKW said this guy should be the next president of Harvard. Yeah. They are ready to change their name to Harvard to Hamas University. So why not? Over the years, lots of people said stuff like things about the future of Europe and the Islamization and all of that. And many times I did issue my skepticism about the Islamization and said, nah, Europeans will not just eat it up. They won't just buy it. At some point they will resist and they will stop and they will say no. Because Islam is too bad. They won't just endure it. But with this war right now, and with the reactions from people around the world, I feel like I changed my mind a little bit about this, and I'm no longer that optimistic. All colors are entombed in black. Said this is simply conversion fuel for brainlets. Chloe said, David Wood, AP, I'm angry too. Islamo left are sick. Yeah. St. Miles, thank you for always being here. Sorry, AP wasn't monitoring the chat. Had to go and hit my backyard punching bag while listening to Morgan's talk. That's probably the good thing to do. Yeah. Lazy Bar said, AP, do you see the popular opinion on Islam changing? Do you feel sometimes frustrated that your message is not being driven home? Frustrated, sometimes I actually do feel, to be very honest, lately. But I can lately also hardly bring myself to go out and do the same hard-hitting videos that I did, for example, several years ago, just because of this, to be honest, sometimes. Sometimes I feel like people are stupid and doomed, no matter what you do. But I'm still trying to think of all the good things that can be done. I don't know. I do think, though, that much of the public opinion on Islam has not changed for the better, but there has been a very far-growing defense of horrible Islamic things like Islamic terrorism and child marriage, and those things go accepted, unchecked, and that's bad. Just earlier, I saw some guy on Twitter saying, "What's the big deal with marrying and having sex with a 9-year-old?" 3,000 likes or something like that. Newen Walters said, "Do you really want to go down that path?" Excellent point, AP, as always. Thank you. I want to make that point again about colonizing Europe, but I feel like it's a very dangerous point to make, a very thin thing to walk on. But it should be made. All colors are entombed in black said, "P.S. I'm writing a death metal album called Slamas Halal Gorefest, LMAO, filled to the brim with anti-Islamic lyrics." That sounds amazing. Share it with me. And one more, and then we can move on. Hakan NOK said, "Islamo left, woke haram." Woke haram, yeah. There are still many super chats, including one by Rachel, a very nice one. Palestine, you're really the best. Please keep up the good work. Thank you, Rachel, so much. I appreciate it. Palestine, I am original indigenous Palestinian. I am Palestinian. Thank you.
I agree that the West is pumping secular democracy into the Muslim world. And
Including LGBT filth?
I agree that actually what we want to see in the Muslim world is a system
with how this guy can't answer a single damn question directly. He can't answer a single damn question directly. Not a single question.
Call for an end to the secular order. Bullshit.
Have you never heard that?
Let me just play. I want to just read you this. In May 2023, Luqman Makim, who's a prominent member of your organization, called for an end to the secular order so that, quotes, the UK will no longer be able to pump its liberal filth, its LGBT filth, its feminist filth into the heart of the Muslim world. Do you agree with him?
I agree that the West is pumping.
You see that, right? Why can't you just give a straight answer to a simple question? Do you agree with that? You could either say, yes, I agree with it. Or you could say, no, I don't agree with it because of this and this and this. Why do you have to answer this with, I agree that the blah, 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 blah. Jeez. These people are just dishonest. And they're cowards, to be honest. Giant cowards. Cowards who have horrendous views, but they are too afraid of the public backlash or the legal backlash, maybe, which is why they can't give a straight answer.
Secular democracy into the Muslim world. And
Including LGBT filth?
I agree that actually what we want to see in the Muslim world is a system with an accountable government, right? An elected leader, upholding family values, right? We want to see an economic system where wealth is circulated.
Do you believe in equal rights for gay people?
I believe that actually the Islamic standard of law should be the standard of law in the country.
I mean, you can agree with this or disagree with this. It doesn't make you a terrorist or a jihadist. Why can't you answer such a simple question directly? What's so bad about answering this simple question? This should be one of the easiest thing to answer for you if you have such a strong position, such a strong radical position. It should be so simple to give an answer to this question. And this is even a question that is so light. Not many people would be outraged if you gave your actual answer to this question. A lot of people would not be outraged about this. Some people would be. A lot of people wouldn't be. Why can't you just answer one question directly?
I believe that actually the Islamic standard of law should be the standard of law in the country. And obviously, that's the standard I believe in.
So just to clarify, what is your view of homosexuality?
I believe homosexuality is a sin.
A sin, it's wrong. So when gay people come to your practice, do you treat them?
Oh, of course.
Why?
Because I treat all my...
sometimes Piers is being weird with his approach. That's I'm not sure if I would ask that question.
Patients with kindness and without
Do you tell them you
discrimination.
think what they do is a sin?
What an absurd thing to say.
Why wouldn't you be
Why would I
upfront about
say
that?
that? Why would I say that? Because they don't come.
Why don't you try going back to your surgery tomorrow?
They don't come to me.
Why don't you go to surgery tomorrow and say, before we go any further to your patients,
What?
I want you to know what I think. I think that
Okay, that's that's a little bit much here. That's a little bit that's an interesting thing to confront him about. People can think that homosexuality is a sin. Muslims think that, Christians think that, Jews think that, lots of other people think that. It's all right to have that as a position, right? The political aspect of it and the political implementations for society are a different issue. You can discuss that lengthily, but to say, so you think it's a sin? Do you tell your patients also that what they're doing is sinful? That's an interesting approach, which I wouldn't make. So I get why he's startled by that, which of course doesn't take away from the fact that he just can't answer questions directly.
I agree with the guy who said
Do you understand
this country is full of LGBT filth, feminist filth.
Understand?
I don't think Hamas are a terror group. I don't think what they did on October the 7th was a terror attack. And by the way, do you want me now to treat you?
Do you understand what?
I don't understand any of that.
Professional integrity is.
Oh, look, he wants to get stuck on that point. Everything else, he just wants to gloss over and indirectly answer. Now he got one little thing that Piers gave him, which is about his practice as a doctor. And he wants to get back to that and just stay on that, because that's the one thing now in this entire discussion that he feels comfortable with, where he feels like he can pounce on his opponent. The one thing now where he wants to be like, what, you are attacking me, you are being absurd. Do you even understand what you're doing? What is happening here? Of course, all the other relevant issues were completely avoided, but he will be stuck on this.
Oh, you think that's professional integrity?
No, I think professional integrity is treating the people I treat with respect and with kindness.
How do I know you
fairness. Well, they know I do.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Do they know you think they're filth?
I didn't say that they're filth.
You agreed with what he said?
I didn't agree with what he said.
You said, I agree.
No, I agree.
I can play the tape back if you like.
I agree with the fact that the Muslim world should have the Islamic system.
This is nobody should blame Piers Morgan here for misrepresenting what he agreed with, because he obviously, as we just pointed out, did something very slippery, as Mohammed Hijab would call it, and avoided giving an actual answer to the question on the quote LGBT filth, feminist filth, liberal filth, and so on. So he wants to say, no, you're misrepresenting me. You're misrepresenting what I agree with. Well, great. You never answered what you actually agree with. It's probably not my fault, right?
Yeah, I didn't say I agree with. I don't use words.
You want full Sharia law for this country?
For this country, I'm working for. Our group works for Islam, the restoration of Islam.
Oh boy, see, another non-answer. Hizb ut-Tahrir is for a global Sharia system, for a global caliphate, for global Islamic law. Wherever they operate, they try to preach and they try to turn the systems over in extreme ways in order to establish Islamic states, or one Islamic state all around the world. What they do, however, is they don't engage in direct terrorism. They want to engage in politics and preaching in order to change the perception of the country and turn people toward accepting an Islamic caliphate. But they also accept one thing, which is, according to the experts on Hizb ut-Tahrir, once there are the means to actually have enough support to overthrow the system of the country by violent means, meaning by a military coup, for example, they believe in doing that and implementing Sharia by force. So they do believe that. And the actual question to the response, do you want Sharia here in the UK, would be yes. That's the honest answer that he should be giving. But he doesn't want to give the answer, of course.
Islam in the Muslim world.
But here,
We work to uphold Islamic values in our personal life and in the Muslim
What about,
community.
do you want
And we
Sharia
actually
law
try-
here or not?
I would love, you know what?
You'd love it?
No, I tell you what, in this,
How many? Let's count how many times he asked the question here.
I didn't say I agree with it. I don't use words.
You
like
want
that
full
about
Sharia
people.
law for this country?
For this country.
Okay.
I agree.
I can play the tape back if you like.
I agree with the fact that the Muslim world should have the Islamic system. Yeah, I didn't say I agree with it. I don't use words.
You
like
want
that
full
about
Sharia
people.
law for this country?
One.
This country. I'm working for, our group works for Islam, the restoration of Islam in the Muslim world.
What about here?
We work to uphold Islamic values in our personal life and in the Muslim
What about,
community.
do you want
And we
Sharia
actually
law
try-
here or not?
3.
I would love, you know what?
You'd love it?
No, I tell you what, in this last 2 months, one of the strangest things,
Interesting. 3 times he asked the question and he didn't get a response. 3 times he asked the question and he didn't get a response. I wonder if he will ask it again and still not get a response. 3 times he did not answer the actual question. We know he likes Sharia. We know he wants Islamic laws. We know he wants this and that. But when you are asked a question about having Islamic law here in the UK, it's a very simple question. It's a clarification question. You can answer the question. If you are not answering the question directly, there's probably something wrong. Why would you trust a person who can't answer your questions on such an important, pressing issue directly? I swear, this man is being slippery. This man is being very, very slippery. In fact, I would say the slipperiness of this man, if somebody else was partaking in this discussion, he would describe the slipperiness of this man in very different ways, like these.
More slippery, hearing that all Palestinians, they are responsible. This man is being more slippery. He's being more slippery than the lubricants that he sells in his daughter's sex shop. And that's the reality of the situation.
Did you really just say that? You know,
Oh, man.
has been where people here have been looking at the people in Gaza and they've been going and looking and reading the Quran and they've been looking at it. And I'd invite you and your audience to do that.
Just to clarify.
Oh yeah, they have been doing that. The people here in the West, they have been looking at Gaza and they have been looking at the Quran. They have been amazed with it. He's referring to these to influencers on TikTok. That's a very great standard. I congratulate you for winning over individuals on TikTok who get TikTok reactions and then respond to the reactions. Good job. Fantastic. That's the future. That's the hope for the future. TikTok. I believe TikTok is the fucture.
Would do that, and
Just
they,
clarify,
and
you would
they
like
are
Sharia
not-
law here?
and they are not convinced
4.
by these
4.
Yeah, doctor.
neocon.
Would you like Sharia
Islamophobic
law here?
tropes and caricatures of Islam, are they?
Actually, I don't think
people who,
all I've done is ask you straightforward questions.
yeah.
You've revealed your beliefs in the answers. Yeah, you have.
I
You may not even realize what you've done, but you have.
I believe in.
Yes, actually, yes. And by the way, this is the 5th time he's asking the question, still with no answer at all. No answer at all. No answer at all.
In Islamic law, and I don't believe in the.
Oh, wait.
Forward question.
Yeah.
You've revealed your beliefs in the answers. Yeah, you have.
I
You may not even realize what you've done, but you have.
I believe in Islamic law, and I don't believe in the caricature that you try and present of Islam.
Would you like Sharia law in this country?
I would love to see you want Sharia law in this country.
I don't want Sharia law in this country.
Well, that's your wish.
So you would?
Yeah, but I
Would you?
I believe it's the best system, but
So
I'm not working.
Would
to
you like it
establish-
in this country?
I'm not working.
Yes or
to
no?
say- I believe in Islamic. You know this.
Yes or no?
You know this.
He's so intent on not answering the question that he even, when he said yeah in the middle of it to something else, he had to quickly clarify in order to not to answer the question. This guy is just treating people like idiots at this point, and just to protect himself. I don't know. I guess to protect the public reputation. I don't know. Can you get in trouble in the UK for saying I want Sharia for the UK? Does that put you in legal trouble? Not entirely sure about that. But yeah, he really doesn't want to answer the question.
Islamic
Yes
civilization
or no?
was the only
You'd be
civilization.
very quick to answer everything else. Yes or
The
no?
Islamic
6,
civilization
7.
was the only civilization that brought peace to the Middle East for Muslims, Jews, and Christians. I would love to see that system there. Wouldn't you like to see a system?
Who pays
Wouldn't you
your
like
salary?
Wouldn't you like to see a
Who
system?
pays your salary?
So I asked the question 7 times, still no answer. Islamic civilization is the only civilization that brought peace to the Middle East. Yeah. Great peace. Great peace. Of course, you mean peace by having a caliphate that expanded and conquered everything through bloody conquests, bloody conquests. A succeeding caliphate that staged a coup against that caliphate, which then violently took over and oppressed all those who didn't want to partake in the new caliphate, from which the split into different caliphates or different imamates, the Shias, or different emirates happened, which then fought each other, which continued attacking the Christian populations and oppressing the Jewish populations, oppressing the non-Muslim minor groups, oppressing the Zoroastrians, destroying their temples, fighting and conquering India and oppressing the Hindus. And then those caliphates, those systems are again, every now and then, every few centuries from the inside, destroyed by other groups which fight against the Muslims and against other groups again, and so on, and so on, and so on. And all the while, by the way, we have Jewish attacks on Jewish groups over and over and over and over and over again. But today, Muslims, of course, present the idea that Jews lived very peacefully under Islamic rule, which is complete nonsense. Complete nonsense.
Where Muslims, Jews, and Christians would live
I don't
side
want
by
this
side
country
in
to
the
live
Middle
under
East.
Sharia law.
It's not talking about this Middle. I'm talking about Middle East.
No, but you suggested you wanted it to be under Sharia law here.
You suggested.
Do you or not?
You
Well, do you or not? What's funny?
What's funny is your approach of question.
Why? Because I
What a disgusting slime bag, man. That's, by the way, 8 times, 9 times. Okay, 9 times he asked a question now. Why is he laughing about it? It's just a very simple question. Do you want it, yes or no?
you or not? What's funny?
What's funny
Do you want Sharia, yes or not?
is your approach of question.
Why?
Honestly.
Just answer the question.
Because you know why it's funny.
Yes
about
or no?
it.
You either do or you don't, right? I ask a question, the answer is yes or no. Why can't you say yes or no?
I believe in the Islamic system.
Would you like
I'm not sure if I counted correctly, but so far I have 12 times. 12 times he asked the question, I think.
Sharia law in this country?
I would love.
Yes or no?
I would love to see you want.
No, answer the question. Never mind what I want. What do you want?
I want to see the Islamic system re-established.
Would you like
in the Muslim
Sharia
world.
law in this country? Last time I'm going to ask
If
you.
Sharia law,
Just yes or no.
if Sharia law
That is, according to my counting, 15 times.
means upholding family values, means looking after the poor,
Means no gays,
looking
no
after
feminists,
the
i.e.
poor.
women who get above
That's
themselves,
your
right?
caricature. No, that's your
Oh, I know what Sharia law wants for women.
Why do so many women become Muslim these days? Why do
Because
so
they want to
many
be
women in the
oppressed.
West?
Is that what you're going to tell me?
No.
Why do so many women want to become Muslims these days? Where's the data on that? Where's the data on that? Please tell me. And does that take away anything from the fact that what Piers actually said about Islam here, and he's not even saying anything like hugely significant, he's just addressing some minor contentions here between liberalism and Islam, are entirely correct. There's no caricature of Islam being made here. I would like to sit down with this guy here and give him exposure here as well, and ask him some questions about about certain Islamic laws. So maybe he can clarify for us what would happen if a gay person was indeed found to be guilty of gay interactions in the Islamic world. What would happen to women who want to, unveil themselves and just live their lives freely? What would happen to people who leave Islam? What would happen to people who criticize Islam? What would happen to people who say, you know what, I don't like Islam, I don't want Islam anymore? I don't want to live under Islam. What would happen to people who resist Islam? You know, apparently Hamas can resist by attacking Israel. But what happens if you resist the Islamic system because you are oppressed by the Islamic system? Ask that question.
Why do so many
Because they want to be oppressed.
women in the world become Muslim these days?
You tell me.
Well, you better ask them.
Well, why don't you tell me what you think?
They seem to find it something that attracts them, Islam.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Many women in the West become Muslim. And for
Many women in the West become Muslim. Trust me, bro.
some reason, they seem to like the fact that Islam...
Do you work with women doctors?
Yes, I do. And
How do they feel about your views on this?
I keep a very strict professional line between my...
Do they know what
my
your views are?
politics.
When they watch this, they're going to be surprised.
Some of them will know, some of them will not know.
Okay.
Some of them will know, some of them will not know.
Okay. Doctor, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. You've been enlightening with your responses. You may not realize quite how enlightening, but you might find out when you see the reaction. But I appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oops.
Welcome back. Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist who made...
Oops, wait a minute.
Oh, you
understand
think that's
that?
professional integrity? Find out when you see the reaction. But I appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's it? Okay, well. The thing is, Piers Morgan would expect the reactions to this to be shocking, that people would condemn this completely. They would be shocked about this. They would find this horrible. But lots of Islamists are out there defending this, and lots of others are siding with them. But hey, this is a beginning. I think a lot of people at home watching this, a lot of people viewing Piers Morgan, unfamiliar with these things, will have at least noticed one of these issues here. That Piers Morgan asked this guy, this Islamist terrorist advocate, 15 times whether he wants Sharia for the UK or not, and he just didn't answer the question. The fact that he denied that Hamas killed women, the fact that he denied Hamas killed civilians randomly. He refused to call Hamas a terrorist organization. He claimed that resistance is justified. Resistance in the form that they do is justified in response to the oppression they face, which just, to anyone a little bit familiar with the conflict, will mean that Muslims can do terrorism and nothing is wrong with that. And so on. You will see that he doesn't have very good views, very nice views of the non-Muslim systems and their lives and their way of living and their freedoms. There's a lot to this. But Muslims come out of this, Muslim fans come out of this and think, Piers Morgan is such an Islamophobe, he's so biased, this guy did a fantastic job, he defended our religion. Yeah, keep defending your religion like this. Keep defending your religion like this. And please be a little bit more open, a little bit more direct. Don't be a dishonest piece of filth like this guy here. Don't be a dishonest person like this guy here who refuses to answer simple questions about the future of the UK, for example. Be more direct with your answers. Dear Muslim apologists, we value your opinions. We value your opinions. So people just want to know, do you want Sharia for the UK? Do you want Sharia for the US? Do you want Sharia for Europe, for Israel, for the world? Just tell us the answer directly, because we really want to know. The world is hungry for knowledge. And then we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So I think Piers did an overall good job with this, despite a few missteps. But I think it is good to expose this kind of stuff. But still, I think the best thing would be for Piers Morgan to invite a different Muslim apologist. And I recommended him again and again. And I even told Mohammed Hijab, I was chatting with Mohammed Hijab, and I told him, hey, how about you suggest your friend Daniel Kikicu to Piers Morgan? Can we please have Daniel Kikicu on Piers Morgan? Didn't say anything to that so far. We will see. Maybe we can soon have Daniel Kikicu on Piers Morgan. If we have Daniel Kikicu on Piers Morgan, I think the world will be a better place once he can tell us more about what Islam is and what Islam teaches. Anyway, now that we're done with the video, let's put up here an AI-generated photo of Mohammed and his wife, Aisha, while I'm going through the super chats. All right, let's see. And let me know what you think of this discussion, of this conversation, and all that. Game R3DN said, do you or David have videos covering the Quran is not unchanged and is not perfectly preserved? I made a video very briefly in which I titled it something like, does it even matter? Was the Quran perfectly preserved? It doesn't matter, or something like that, where I briefly talked about it. You can view that. David might have something else on the topic. Bender said, this is what this cult does to one's brain. Even if you're a doctor, stay away from Islam. I agree. Stay away from Islam. I will keep stay away from Islam. And you know what?
We're proud of that.
Yeah. If somebody wants to come and tell you to convert to Islam, just...
How about no? I don't buy your Allah.
Or just tell them...
Why stuttering?
Knows too much, said Muslims genocided the Samaritans, only around 100 left in the early 1900s. Israel secured their protection, saving them from complete annihilation. Happy Frenzy said, what bothers me is why are only the Pakistanis and that too the ones in UK why are only the Pakistanis and that too the ones in UK so concerned about the Palestinians? AP, God bless you for this work. I would say lots of others are too, but they show a great sense of hypocrisy in this entire conflict. What's funny to me is I'm from Turkey and I'm familiar with the history of Turkey. In Turkey, supporting Palestinians is very big right now. The president supporting Palestinians is a very big thing right now. But you know what? Turkey has had a long history of oppressing the Kurdish population that actually, unlike the Palestinian Arabs, belonged to the region and was part of that region forever, and even had a region named for themselves, named Kurdistan, which even appears in Ottoman writings. But in the 20th century, they began oppressing the Kurdish people, denying their existence, denying their language, fighting them, punishing them for speaking their language, for teaching their language or singing in their language, and that is still going on. Now, there is a group in Turkey that is fighting on their behalf, which is the PKK, which commits atrocities, and I would say is not defensible at all. And I know of those atrocities, but Turkey is fighting them while supporting Hamas. Even by the standard that we just went through, the PKK has more right to defend themselves than Hamas does. I Want to Sleep said, saw the Jubilee middle ground vid on the conflict. One guy mentioned the 100-to-1 ratio, possibly one of many disinformation. Love your work, by the way. Really? Please tell me it's not. Please tell me it didn't happen. Please tell me it didn't happen. Please, no. Jubilee.
I don't think that.
Because if it happened, then that person
I don't think that.
probably got it from Mohammed Hijab, who made up that lie because he's an idiot. I should make a response video to that, specifically going through it. Let's see. 1003.
Well, in the Palestinian people, Hamas only.
But
Have they succeeded in that?
Not yet. Not yet.
Have they killed more people disproportionately? Do you know the ratio of how many Hamas
It's a different
members
argument.
to each civilian? It's the same
a different-
argument.
no,
You said the goal is to eliminate
it
Hamas.
will get shifted to a different argument.
Tamer, you said the goal is to eliminate Hamas.
Yes.
Around, they said hundreds, maybe 100 or more Hamas members died. What did you say? How many thousand? How many thousand Palestinians?
No, we had way more than
18,000
No, we've killed
people died. The ratio is 1 to 100. 1 to 100. This is the most capable military in the world. You can't be more accurate. Your ratio can't be better than 1
because they're hiding
to 100.
inside hospitals.
So go on the ground. So go on the ground.
I'm going to show you something now, since he didn't want to take the responsibility and correct his mistake because he's a dishonest prick. Since he is a dishonest prick. But the very person who pushed this lie forever, Mohammed Hijab, I had a chat with him about this. I had a chat with him about this very topic. And I told him, are you aware that you are spreading misinformation here? Because the 100-to-1 ratio is something that you might have misunderstood. And I just really want to show this now without showing more. But I'm going to show you how I'm not just saying this. I actually did text with Mohammed Hijab and actually did confront him on this. And I won't be able to show you his response to it, although I will show you responses to other things, because he ignored it and just responded to everything else we talked about. Let's see. That it? Yeah, okay. So I texted him and I said, I sent him this article, which says that Israel says they killed dozens of Hamas commanders, not Hamas members, which is what he claimed. And I said to him, you should probably be aware, look, here's again, Mohammed Hijab is right here. You should probably be aware that your repeated 100-1 ratio narrative is false. You misunderstood or twisted the article. It says Hamas commanders, not Hamas members. Of course, this means you have to take back the majority of what you said on Piers Morgan and other events. His response to that was, how are you, Rizwan? Which is a deliberate misspelling and mispronunciation of my name. Thanks for following my work and offering some interesting insights as usual. He's just being cocky and deliberately insulting, thinking that this is he's doing a great job here in response to that. I think your English language is improving markedly, but I saw a photo of you with Shmoli and Wood in what seemed to be a group therapy session of some sorts. I hope you're taking care of your health and strengthening your study of Islam so you can give one of the new up-and-comers a good intellectual fight when they are raising their profile with you through a debate or something. See, what he does immediately here is to try to do the dominating my opponent game. Immediately, he jumps to that instead of responding to the actual question. Immediately does that, and he never responds to the actual question. I don't want to show you the entire screen here of what happened, of the exchange between us, which is why I'm kind of copying and pasting parts of our conversation. But you will also see that this is where his response ends, and then I respond to him, and then our conversation continues when it goes to this. He says after that, I want to take your if you want to take your anti-Islamic apologetics to the next level, I also suggest you start doing face-to-face debates with some local imams or something, as there's only so much you can achieve from a bedroom. Wow. Wow, what a humiliating insult. Wow, I feel so offended. I'm so insulted. He humiliated me. He destroyed me with this response. Great, because this is what he cares about. Humiliating, dominating, insults, his reputation. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the actual point. And I then responded, hello, Nabil, I'm good. His actual name is Mohammed Nabil Hijab or something like that. So I responded to him with Nabil. How are you? It's always a pleasure to follow your work and see what you're up to. Throughout my life, I've always been interested in understanding and analyzing those I oppose and support. And then we continued talking. But I asked him again and again about this thing. And I said, I need an urgent response to this from you because you misrepresented the death ratio. Can you clarify this? He never responded to it. This is clear proof. I'm proving it to everyone right now. Clear proof that he not only saw the message, and he saw that he is wrong, that he misinformed thousands, millions of people. He also engaged with it, and he refused to acknowledge and to give any response to it. Meaning, this is proof that Mohammed Hijab, who went on Piers Morgan, by the way, and who was viewed by millions of people. Let's put it here on the screen one more time. This was the conversation. He had 4.5 million views when he went on here. And this is where he repeated that lie 100-to-1 ratio again and again and again. That was his main point. So he lied to millions of people. He misinformed millions of people. And he doesn't seem to be bothered by that. He doesn't acknowledge it. He doesn't take it back. He doesn't care. And this is clear proof that Mohammed Hijab, like many other people like him, is not just ignorant, not just an idiot. He's a liar. He's a liar for Islam, a liar for the Islamic cause, a liar for terrorism, a liar against the West, against Israel. He lies and lies and lies, and you have it right here. This is clear proof for you. Clip it. Clear proof for you that Mohammed Hijab is a complete liar, that he actually lies and he doesn't care about the truth in order to further his agenda. So anyone who wants to bring Mohammed Hijab to you as an authority, here is the proof that he's a liar. Anyone who wants to bring the Palestinians are being genocided 100-to-1 ratio to you, here is the proof that it was spread by a liar who even refused to acknowledge his lie and to correct it because he doesn't care, because they only care about the agenda, not about the facts, not about the truth. These are the people that we're dealing with. These are the people that we're dealing with. That's it. It is truth against falsehood. It's very ironic that the Quran says truth has come and falsehood has vanished. Because Islam is definitely not the truth. Islam is the falsehood here. Islamism is the falsehood. We bring the truth. So, hey Muslims, hey Islamists, the Quran says truth has come, falsehood has vanished. Guess what? We bring the truth and you have the falsehood. So yes, falsehood has come now and truth has come now and falsehood has vanished. Look, Allah made me say it the wrong way because he wants to punish me. He wants to set me up. Just like Allah punished that guy in the Turkish parliament today for condemning Israel. I want to sleep. Okay. Joel ever said, when you say this in your best Dutch, can you say this in your best Dutch? I can't speak. Allah is punishing me. I have to practice my Dutch pronunciation of things, my Dutch reading of things. Ik trok mijn schoenen aan om naar, do you say school? School te gaan in de Haag. Waar geschiedenisles gaan over Vincent van Gogh. Was that accurate? I'm just trying. I don't even know. I think that was pretty accurate, wasn't it? Geschiedenisles gaan over Vincent van Gogh. Tell me if it's accurate. Give me a score out of 10. Schoenen and school was. How do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce that? School? Do you actually say school or school? What do you say? I don't know. Knows Too Much said in the mid 1800s, even before modern Zionism and before many Muslim Palestinians migrated into the land, Jerusalem's majority population were Jews. The numbers of Jerusalem, okay, I'm not entirely sure about the population. I know that Jerusalem had a large Jewish population and that they were always a large part of the population. But Eric, I know it's Dutch. I know it's Dutch. That's not how you would pronounce it in German anyway. Ik trok mijn Schul. You would pronounce it as Schul? Okay, well, see. 9 out of 10. Okay, good. I know that land ownership in Jerusalem was dominated by Jews at the turn and in the 1940s especially. Not sure about the population size though. I can't confirm that myself. Chloe said, God of Israel, Jesus not happy with him. It's a bit harsh, man. We're talking about the guy who just had a heart attack for saying, you will not get away from the wrath of Allah. The donkey said, you think it's over for Europe? With the amount of immigration we've seen of people that don't respect Europe at all, we may as well dig our graves, huh? I don't think it's over with Europe. I just think that the future is not very bright. And people haven't learned from history because going into the wrong directions too far brings overcorrections, which are often not very pretty. And people should know this from recent history. And I hope we don't have those overcorrections. Shoal, not shul, shoal. You say showl, shoal. Okay, fine, whatever. It's good enough. Good enough. Joel Evers said, also, are you planning to start a Discord server soon? Would love to interact with the community, and the community can do help with projects, beautiful poems. PS, I can finally join a live stream again. Much love from the Netherlands. Thank you. Bedankt, and welcome again. I do have a Discord. I just need people to take care of it. When I started it, I didn't realize how much work it is to run an actual public Discord server. But I would actually like to do that. I just need more motivation to do it, and people who help motivate and run it. Ariel J. Birnbaum, welcome. Thank you for the donation, for the super chat. Very, very nice. Said, after this delicacy, maybe the Dankula interview would be decent palate cleanser. Anyway, I'm also paying my jizya here. I saw that there was an interview with Piers Morgan and Count Dankula. That might be something to watch at some time. Not now, obviously. It's too late for that. It's too late for that, mate. Where's that? 13,000, 14,000 views. Elon Musk is right. Count Dankula debates Piers Morgan over Alex Jones. Twitter return. I don't know. Don't know if I want. It's probably an interesting watch, but not something I would personally review live. Maybe, but maybe I could. I don't know. I'll see. But thank you, Ariel. I appreciate it very much. Very, very much. Very much appreciated. Gnome MKW said, the wrath of Allah. God, you mean this? Seriously, man, that's messed up. Let's get back to that one more time. Let me see. Turkish Parliament heart attack. I wonder if there are English language reports on that as well by now. Let us see. I don't see any YouTube video results that are new. Drama in the Turkish Parliament.
Allah'ın gazabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Jeez. This guy actually condemned Israel and said you will not get away from Allah's punishment. And oh yeah, here we have my dear friends at Visegrad 24. Drama in the Turkish parliament today. The MP Hassan Bismet spoke out strongly against Israel and shouted about Israel suffering the wrath of Allah. Seconds later, he had a heart attack. This is so messed up. It's actually happened. I thought that can't be true when I first was informed about this earlier, but it actually happened. Man. And he is part of the most Islamist party in Turkey at the moment, the Saadet Party, which is not the governing party, but is an allied party to the governing party.
Allah'ın gazabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
If you listen closely, you can hear his head knock on the ground. What he says there in those final moments are, "You will not escape the wrath of Allah," and then he falls down with a heart attack. Jeez, that's. I know it's like, it is sad, and I don't want to watch. I don't want to laugh about anyone having a heart attack here, but at the same time, giving that speech and then having a heart attack and falling down, that's just, I don't know. And it's sad if something like this happened to any other party, any other people, if somebody made a defense of Israel and and said something I don't imagine a minister or a politician in Israel was filmed in the parliaments of Israel, in the Knesset, if he was filmed saying appealing to God and justifying the current war, and he then immediately collapsed and had a heart attack. Can you imagine how people would use the hell out of this? It would be everywhere. And the Muslims would be like, see, you see divine justice. You see, it's divine justice. Man, that's so messed up. I'm not sure what his situation right now is. What's his name? Let me see. Let's see. What's his name? Hassan Bismuth. Hassan Bismuth has had heart attack. Drama Turkish Parliament. Allah strikes Turkish MP with massive heart attack. I wonder if he is dead. If he's probably not dead, he's probably still alive. There was a press release, I think, about his current state. Let me see. Meclis Kalp Krizi, which is Turkish. Let's see what they say.
Bütün siyasi partilerden arkadaşlar
Let's see.
Kabul edilmiştir. Değerli milletvekilleri, Kocaeli Milletvekili, Saadet Partisi Kocaeli Milletvekili Sayın Hasan Bitmez, kürsüde konuşmasını tamamladığı anda fenalaşarak geçirdiği kalp rahatsızlığı sebebiyle şu an hastanede bulunmaktadır.
Okay, she says because he just experienced a heart attack, therefore he is at the hospital.
Tüm siyasi partilerin grup başkan vekili ve temsilcileri beraber Sayın Milletvekilinin hastanede ziyaretine katıldık. Ailesi
We all went there to visit him. Okay, they don't say anything about his current state, but so apparently he is alive as of now, and he's at the hospital, not dead. But we'll see how this turns out. I wonder if this guy will now move on with his life if he recovers from this, and he will think, look, I said you will not escape Allah's wrath, and I condemned Israel, and then Allah punished me with a heart attack. This means Israel is right. I am from now on a supporter of Israel. I wonder if he will say that. I don't know. AP, do you like Israel advocacy Brit redhead guy who argues on Speaker's Corner there is no God but Allah and Musa is his messenger? You mean Israel advocacy movement guy, Yosef? I recently had him on my channel. I recently had a chat with him right here. You can find it right here. Right here. Nice guy. Nice guy. I like him. S1002 said Allah gave him the Momo treatment, aorta chop. Alka said AP here in Greece, many pro-Palestinians claim modern Palestinians are Arabized Greeks. LOL. I mean, the ancient population, the Philistines, based on which, according to the majority interpretation, the name Palestine was initially formed, based on whom the land was named. And by the way, they were only in control of a very small part at the coast, Gaza and a little bit north of it. Those people were seafaring people who it is thought came from Greek islands and conquered in the region. According to Egyptian records, I believe they pillaged and then were repelled by the Egyptians and settled there. And they are then around the same time mentioned in the Bible, for example. But the thing is, so those people would then be of Greek origin, or of the Greek culture, Proto-Greek, whatever it is. But again, complete disconnection, because those people were a tiny population that then mixed and disappeared. Nothing to do with the Palestinian Arabs of today, who are people that consist of a vast mix of populations, some of which lived in the region, others came to the region. We even have Hamas members, and others attest that many Gazans are of Egyptian origin or other Arab origins. Nothing to do with that ancient population. These Arabs only adopted that name because the Europeans gave them that. That's the funny thing about it. They say, this is our land, you have no business here. And then they actually adopt a name for themselves, which the Europeans gave them. Blackfish Blues became a YouTube member. Thank you for so much, and welcome to the channel. Nice to see people join. Sanke gifted a membership. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see people join. GG Ryder says, Piers gets the ratings and he is exposing who they are. He's not equipped to answer about honest development and existence of Israel. Yeah, would argue that. It's true. He is doing his job. He's doing a good job. Subbies said Muslims be slamming with their answer. It's very disrespectful. Very, very disrespectful. Chloe said, Piers, don't play blame game. Kids already radicalize. That's true. That's true. Cyclone Steve said, is there a book of M's teaching before driven from Mecca? You can just look at the Quran and find an estimate of which verses came into existence before Medina and after Medina, and that can give you a rough idea. And you can then see that Islam in Mecca, when he was there, was much more focused on believing in Allah and the polytheists and all of that. And then when he moved to Medina, Islam became much more intolerant and hateful and direct and bold. Sanke said some pro-Israelis now think Palestinians aren't capable of having a state, and the only solution would be something like the UAE ruling over it. Thoughts? I mean, Israel tried in the past to give Gaza back to Egypt because Egypt occupied it after the 1948 war, because they didn't believe that the people there would be able to have a proper state without fighting Israel. They also tried to give the West Bank, or much of it, to Jordan, but they didn't want it. They rejected it. Egypt didn't want it back. Jordan didn't want it back. And to be honest, I doubt that any other Arab country would want any part of it. They would only want a proper Palestinian Arab state there, which is history. It will not happen. It will not happen anymore. They have a little bit of land left. The last time they were given a chance to declare a proper state was in 2008, wasn't it? They were given the chance to get most of the West Bank, the majority of the West Bank, with Israel only remaining in very tiny portions of it. That was the deal, and it was rejected. It was rejected, and that was probably the best and last chance to ever get significant amounts of the West Bank to create a Palestinian Arab state. They rejected it. They rejected it. What do you want? I don't think that a Palestinian state is a reasonable and doable thing. Prono22 made a super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Blackfish Blues said, you're my favorite atheist. Much love from a practicing conservative Catholic. Thank you. And you're my favorite conservative Catholic then. The Zaboo Bus, Mr. L said, Palestinian contribution, the best bomb vests ever. Oh boy. Arafat rejected the big offer. The Palestinian Authority, later Abbas, rejected the offer in 2008. They want all of it. Yeah, they want all of the land. They will not agree to any circumstance. Oh, look at this. Wait a minute. There was a 2008 Israeli proposal. Let's see. 2008 Israeli proposal was by Ehud Olmert and was offered and rejected by Mahmoud Abbas. Mahmoud Abbas, by the dear Mahmoud Abbas. And let's see if this is. I don't want to look at Al Jazeera. Sort of Al Jazeera. Sort of, mate. Okay, fine, I'll look at it. Projection of Israeli proposal for territory 2008. Is this the one for 2008? I think it is. Is this? It doesn't seem accurate to me. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. So approximately most of this, almost all of it, would be given to the Palestinian Authority, and only tiny parts would, for now, stay as part of Israel, or they would be permanently part of Israel. They would be annexed, I guess, tiny lands. But look at this. The majority of it would have gone to the Palestinian Authority, and they would have been able to actually declare a sovereign state. Yes, they would have been able to declare a sovereign state for the first time in history had they accepted this proposal. And there are even areas proposed to go from Israel to Palestine in this instance. In this case, Israel would have recognized Palestine as an actual state in this proposal, and Israel would have obtained, Palestine would have obtained sovereignty, independence for the first time, legitimately recognized by Israel. And then, if Israel recognizes it, that would also lead to a recognition of Palestine by the Western world and most of the world. Imagine you have nothing and you cry after wars. This is what you get, and you reject it because it's not good enough for you. And then you continue crying. I'm sorry, but this is stupid. It is stupidity. Complete stupidity. La 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 la. Sanke said this doctor is more slippery than kosher lubricants. Lazy Bar, when will the popular opinion on Islam change? Tomorrow. I guess when Islam takes over and starts killing and executing people left and right, maybe that it will change. I don't know. Lately, I'm thinking in the future, even when people in the West are taken over by the Islamists and they're being, brutally punished and executed, they will be like, I defend your right to execute me. Personally, I don't believe that you represent all Muslims. That's how it will go in the future. Sorry. How many screens do I have? I have 3 screens. One main screen, which is a laptop that I'm using, and then 2 additional monitors here. Thomas Smith said the entire history of Islam has been terrorism. This is very Islamophobic and very inaccurate. I would say that not the entirety of it, only 99%. The donkey said, your religion has gone off its rocker when ancient religions, funnily enough, the ones Muhammad ended, would have been kinder to defeated religions than Islam. Also, you think it's over for Euro. I hope it's not over, but it might be. Chris Atkinson said, you and David Wood are the most professional YouTubers I have ever seen, and your highly organized streams have helped me see the truth. Is this a joke? Is this sarcasm? Is this like, are you trying to insult me here? Because I know so much for a fact that we are not professional at all, that I can't believe that this is actually serious. So I automatically perceive it as an insult. But if this is if this is meant as a serious compliment, then I appreciate it. Nathaniel Araval said, this guy has to speak as his father does. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the devil. Matthew 5:37. Alhamdulillah. Kenny Demeter said, so he's okay with gays being killed in an Islamic country, but not in the UK, because that's what Sharia law dictates. Pretty much, yeah. We only execute the disbelievers and the gays in the Muslim world, not in the UK. So what is your problem with it? And of course, if Islam comes to the UK after the population accepts it or we force it upon them. So what's the problem? Daza0187 said he won't answer questions because ultimately he wants to return to the caliphate with Sharia law. Razi says, AP, you give me funny feelings in my Zabuba. It's so funny that it's something I should come up with, but David came up with it. Tears of the Prophet said, AP, could Jesus be categorized as a Palestinian? No. No. No and no. If you went back in time and asked the people around Jesus, hey, are you guys Palestinians? They'll probably say, what? What are you talking? What is wrong with you, man? What are you talking about? What is this? What are you talking about? What is a Palestinian? What is a Palestinian? What is a Palestinian? Palestinian. The Arabs would then later come and say, hey, we are actually the indigenous Palestinians. Palestinians? I was looking for an answer given by somebody else on this topic recently that I retweeted, which I found quite befitting and very harsh. This answer. This guy is not even a Christian, I believe. Jewish, yeah. Likern said, Jesus was a Palestinian is 360 degrees of bullshit. Jesus was a Jew living in a conquered Jewish kingdom that was renamed Syria Palestina by the Romans. He wasn't Palestinian. But here's the most sad and hilarious part of Palestinians trying to claim him as their own. Jesus wasn't an effing jihadist, you dumb Fs. He was the total opposite of everything your fanatical Islamic fundamentalist terror regime is about. He didn't give the sermon of the suicide bomber. He never said, blessed are the rapists. He was against the violence that dominates, characterizes, and is celebrated in Palestinian society. This is... This is... I couldn't have said it better. I love this response. And the fact that this comes from a non-Christian, from a Jew, not even from a Christian. Jesus wasn't a jihadist. He was the total opposite. He didn't give the sermon of the suicide bomber. Man, that's good. The kitchen guru said they brought peace, a piece of hand, a piece of head, etc. Absolutely, that's the peace they bring. Subby said he wants free rooftop parties for gay people. I know that. It's so kind. That's the beauty of Islam. SK said, was Aisha big when married Muhammad or tiny when incident happened? At Muslims, please choose one. I'm confused. Keep it up, AP. It's so messed up to talk about the topic of Aisha's marriage to the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Because you have to think about a 9-year-old little girl being the wife. My wife said they cut my hands off, they're hanging my son. It's not going to be okay. Yeah, it's Sharia law in the UK. I can't sing that. It's Sharia law in the UK. Unfortunately, I don't really know the tune of the song, so I can't sing it. Do I? No, I don't. I don't. Erkan Alpganay said PKK without its military part is just a regular old political party. Hamas without its military part is still a violent organization. That's correct. That's actually quite good. Actually, it is, yes. Hamas came out and declared that it is their ultimate hope and goal to eradicate the Jews, to fulfill Allah's promise. Even if they don't engage in military actions, that fact simply does not change. That's true. Judy Deutsch said, Judy Deutsch said, hast du schon die Comics von Nabil Asli über das Leben von Mohammed gesehen? Hab das Gefühl, die am Ende sind von David Wood inspiriert worden. Falls nicht, bitte reagiere auf die Videos. I'm not going to translate that. If you want to know what it says, learn German, everybody. Just like if you want to understand the Quran, just learn Arabic. No big deal. Not that difficult. The question is, did you see Nabil Asli's cartoons about the life of Muhammad? I have a feeling that the rap at the end are inspired by David Wood. If not, please react to the videos. I shall. I only saw one of his videos, I think, so far. I might look at the others as well. I won't translate. You have to read this super chat in its original language. That's how Allah wanted it. And Yudi Deutsch here is Allah. Parth said, I agree with Douglas Murray. Strip him of his citizenship. I would be scared to go to the clinic where he works. Morgan is exposing him. I agree with that too. But mostly because I'm just thinking of it in the way Douglas Murray says it. Because it's just very, very nice to listen to. Cedric said, please, could 1358 of the vid be on the soundboard? Even of the no, which one is this referring to now? Is it the one that is between Piers Morgan and the terrorist guy, or the one between Piers Morgan and the terrorist guy? No. Is it between Piers Morgan and the Islamist guy, or the one between Piers Morgan and the Islamist guy? See, it never narrows it down. Fine. Do you mean the one between Piers Morgan and the guy, the Hizb ut-Tahrir guy, or Piers Morgan and the Speaker's Corner jihadist guy? I don't know which one. Tell me. St. Miles said, gotta go. Great show. Bye. Thank you so much, St. Miles, for always being here. Always appreciate your presence and appearance and all that. Rudra Pratap Basu said, do a debunk video of Norm Finkel on Michaela Peterson. I would leave that to somebody else. To somebody who is... I'm actually thinking of inviting some scholars on the history of Israel and Zionism. I have a few people on my mind. If anyone here wants to suggest some people, I would appreciate that. I briefly chatted with what's her name? Einat Wilf. And she said she would like to come on the channel to explain a little bit about Israel and the history and anti-Zionists and stuff like that. I like her takes because I saw a video of her explaining the formation of Israel, and I really liked it. But I would like to take other recommendations as well. Wow, Noam, did you make that recommendation before I said it or after I said it? I have to see that. My wife gifted 5 Apostate Prophet memberships to people. Very nice, very nice, very nice. This is very good. Very good. Now more people will be part of this cult that we are building, which nobody will be allowed to leave once it's big enough. Noam said yes. Good. I guess I made a right pick. I saw her stuff, and I was actually researching a different topic and looking at some of the anti-Zionist religious Jews, specifically the Natural Right Charta and some other groups, because whenever this topic arises, the Islamists and others go to those Jews and try to use them for their political agenda. What they don't realize is many of these Islamists and Jew haters, they also bash the Talmud, for example, and they bash the idea of Zionism altogether. What they don't realize is that every single one of those groups either believes in the Talmud as well and follows the Talmud as well, or they believe that that Zionism at the moment is not good, from a religious perspective, but that that in the future, when the Messiah comes, Israel will be restored for the Jews. So people are just using those people, those religious anti-Zionists, for their own agenda, while also hating what they actually stand for and believe in, and not representing them correctly. They're just using them as tools. But it's I know it's far more complicated than that. And I saw that she gave a speech on that whole issue, and I thought, I should have her on. So I invited her. She said she would be pleased to come. I will do that. AP, I'm from Pakistan. I grew up in the West. I was very devout after watching you read Bukhari. I'm having a crisis in faith. Everything was a lie. Please advise. You are very devout, but after watching me, you read Bukhari, and now you have a crisis in faith. Everything was a lie. Please advise. Well, I'm very sorry that that my stuff about Islam shook your faith. I'm very sorry that Bukhari shook your faith. I just want to say, keep shaking it. Shake it completely. Shake it off. Just like that song by Taylor Swift. But yeah, so there is no reason to hold on to Islam and the Islamic beliefs and Islamic way of living. It is a messed up idea. And Bukhari, it might be a very hard thing to get into and to read through. So I shouldn't speak when I turn my head like this, I know. But let's see. For those who want to actually read Bukhari, I have this. There are some like these which are all in one, no repetitions of Sahih Bukhari, which list all the Sahih Bukhari hadiths, which you can find in a relatively small book compared to the many volumes, where you can find all of the stuff that Muhammad is reported to have said according to Islam. And already, when you start with the hadiths, what is interesting is that the very beginning here, like you open it up, it starts. I know you can't see anything; it just appears white. Probably that's very funny. Here, you start from the very beginning, and it talks about revelation, how the revelations came to Muhammad according to the reports. And there, one of the first hadiths is already one thing that I think should be very should be studied and thought about further by everyone who thinks that Muhammad was a prophet who was divinely inspired, especially if you're familiar with modern understandings of psychological, psychiatric, or neurological conditions. Because it says here, narrated by Aisha, Al-Harith bin Hisham asked Allah's Messenger, "O Allah's Messenger, how is the divine inspiration revealed to you?" Allah's Messenger replied, "Sometimes it is revealed like the ringing of a bell. This form of inspiration is the hardest of all, and then this state passes off after I have grasped what is inspired. Sometimes the angel comes in the form of a man and talks to me, and I grasp whatever he says." Aisha added, "Verily, I saw the Prophet being inspired divinely on a very cold day, and noticed the sweat dropping from his forehead." This is the beginning. Back in the day, when they compiled this stuff, they did this because they actually believed that these were good signs of divine inspiration. Today, if you went to the doctor, if you went to a psychiatrist, and you described exactly these things happening to you, which are described in this hadith and further on in more detail and more interesting, weird stuff in the next hadiths, they would probably say, "Uh-oh, okay, it looks like you are suffering from a condition. And we have to scan your brain," and so on. That's only the beginning of it. Why am I addressing this? Because this is a very good read, and it actually will give you an idea of how Muhammad's questionable state, which people perceived as inspirations back then, make him a questionable person to rely on as a transmitter of some divine truth altogether. You will also find him collapsing, making loud noises, being covered up, hallucinating, confusing other people, and thinking that they are the angel Gabriel, and so on. Lots of these things. You might dislike a lot of stuff about Islam, morally seen, or otherwise. But the very foundation of Islam, which is Muhammad as a prophet bringing a message from Allah, is a very, very shaky and very thin, very unreliable one that is built on sand, that is a house of cards, and it will fall apart once you try to analyze that foundation of it. Muhammad was not a prophet. He was just some guy who was sick, and people thought that was a good thing back then. Muhammad Gerbil Hanjab should get his PhD in Taqiyya from the University of Hamas ward. He absolutely should. I'm going to the Hamas University too. SK said, do they think Hamas fighters come from the sky? I think they do fall from the sky. Yeah. Yeah. They also grow on trees. Sid Dave said, Quran says Jews were turned into apes and pigs, but I saw Jews turn Palestinians parade in their undies. Allah wrong as usual. Rasmus Zornes said, Guten Abend. Warum hältst du an SIN fest? Jay Smith hat echte Beweise, echte Forschung. Allein die Eigenschaften Mekkas widerlegen die Lüge von Mo. This says, why do you hold on to the standard Islamic narrative? Jay Smith has evidences and research showing that the whole Mecca narrative of Muhammad is false. I watched Jay Smith's analysis so far, and also Dan Gibson. Is that his name? I keep confusing their names. And all the others. I'm not compelled by it, because I think they make some really fundamental. There are some fundamental problems with the things that they say, with their arguments. Some places from which they argue that that Mecca was actually Petra. For example, they bring up one major circumstantial evidence to support their position. They say that Mecca was allegedly a very important place according to the Quran, and according to the Hadith, and according to Muslim tradition. But we can all see that Mecca played no role in history at all. That it was not known, that the Romans never talked about it, that nobody ever mentioned it. Yes, and I agree with that. But the issue is, we have different reasons, we have different explanations for that. Jay Smith's explanation for that would be that that Mecca, as it is described, was actually an important place, but it referred to Petra, and they only moved that later to Mecca. But my explanation, together with lots of other people's explanation, would be that Mecca was never an important place. It was just important to those polytheists and the Muslims, Islam. They severely overinflated and over-exaggerated the importance of Mecca in order to depict it as this huge place, because it has to be seen as the center of Allah's attention. It's Allah's house. But nobody knew anything about it, and they had to distort and over-exaggerate Mecca's role when it didn't mean anything to anyone outside of that little circle. So there is already one of those issues where we have different standards to why we explain that aspect. And then there are other things, such as Muslims bowing toward Jerusalem or Petra, but where I disagree with them, and so on. But long topic, we could talk like for 2 hours about this. Joel Ever said, it's pretty good, not gonna lie. Shh, it's the same as the but with an s. Okay, wait. So you say my Dutch pronunciation is pretty good. That's good. I'm proud of that.
We're proud of that.
Sh is the same as the G, but with an S. What? How does that work? Okay, I do the when I do the G in Dutch, I go. How is sh like the G but with an S? Scrape your throat for G and sh. Irate. Huh. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're trying to describe here. But I don't accept your grading 7 out of 10. Fine, I accept it. Seed of Gabriel said, not sure if you're aware, AP, but that clown Saif Talk made another video responding to your guy's response. I only watched that guy once. I don't think I will watch it again. I don't care. I don't care. I think the only thing that I saw him respond to was that he said the fact that we don't know the contents of that one tafsir which he cited, Tafsir Ibn Sa'd, shows that we're ignorant about Islam. Everybody knows stuff. That's complete nonsense. Every Wahhabi, every Salafi might be very familiar with the Tafsir Sa'di. See, every non-Salafi and non-Wahhabi is not. That's just nonsense. Kata S said, actually, the guy who coordinated the withdrawal from Gaza died shortly after in an aneurysm. So Dave said, many Muslims are claiming that Palestinians are biblical Israelites who were Arabized, converted to Islam during Islamic rule. It might be true, not sure. That's nonsense. Nonsense. Even if you want to argue from a genetic perspective and argue that there are Palestinians in there that have ties to ancient civilizations, across populations in the Middle East, you will find ties connecting them to ancient civilizations. And you will find the very same thing among even Ashkenazi Jews. And we acknowledge that Ashkenazi Jews, mixed with other populations in Europe and or on their way. But that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything at all. We do also know that those Palestinian Arabs, especially those identifying as Palestinian Arab Muslims, have strong genetics from Bedouins, from other Arabs, from Yemen, from Egypt, and 15% sub-Saharan African genetics, according to the research. 15% sub-Saharan African genetics, because of Muslims taking slaves and reproducing with them, or just other things. So that whole claim is just is nonsense. You can't claim, well, they lived there and they at some point made babies with some other people who lived there forever, who made some babies with other people who lived there forever. That's why they are related. That's why they are the ancient population. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Leo SJ said 2 options: either Allah is a Zionist or Mossad used the Death Note. How does the Death Note work again? That's from that anime, right? Is that from that Death Note anime? Oh, you mean the video of that guy having a heart attack? Now I get it. So the Death Note story is that this guy receives this Death Note book, and he sees somebody doing something wrong. Then he writes that person's name into the book, and that person then dies from however he wants that person to die. That's that anime. So in this case, that guy would be giving a speech in the parliament and condemn Israel and say, you will not escape Allah's wrath. And Mossad would then write down his name in the Death Note, and he would then die from a heart attack. Now it makes sense. Thank you. I completely forgot about that. That's good. Zim said, brought me some shekels, which are obviously from Mossad, but we're just pretending it's a regular person. Said, maybe after Islam takes Europe, we can all move to atheist Iran. Religion in Iran weak, 50,000 mosques closed. Yeah. Soon, as soon as the Islamic regime is overthrown. Sankey said, in an interview a month ago, Mossad said if it was up to him, Gaza would cease to exist, so Gazans would finally be able to build a life somewhere else. Nights of Hope for Israel on YouTube, 11800. Might check it out. I believe that he would say that. He says some things very directly. Chris Atkinson said, blessed are the rapists. Yeah, that's what... If Jesus was a Muslim, that's what he would have said, probably. But no. Sid Dave said, AP, who's the greatest apostate of all time? Me. You or Rushdie or someone else. Stay away from filthy Pislam. Who's the greatest apostate of all time? I never thought about this question too deeply. I do not know. I do not know. I have no idea to the question, to the answer. No idea to the, no answer to the question. Okay. My brain is melting as we speak. Alka said, my meat just went bad. Time to go pro-Palestine now. Angel Jibril said, which hadith collection should one read, if only one? The one that I just displayed here. Is this? No, actually, this is if you want to really read all of the stuff. But another recommendation that I have is one that I can't find right now. Oh, there it is. Another recommendation is this one, a collection of mutawatir, mass-transmitted hadith. It's not a very popular book. I just looked for it very hard to find it, something like this. But it's a hadith that it's small, and it only includes those hadith that are considered mutawatir in Islamic hadith studies, which means they were mass-transmitted by multiple people, for which they are considered undeniably authentic by all reasonable standards, according to Islamic studies. And that actually gives you a very interesting insight into what kind of stuff is in the hadiths. The Zabubus Mr. L said, first, thank you for lolling at my name. Second, would you ever have a longer communication with your fans and discuss certain points of view? I should. I used to do call-in live streams. I haven't done that in a long time. Maybe I should get back to doing that. Maybe. Lee. Angel Jibril said, Quran website, CTRLF Israel, 41 results, CTRLF Palestine, 0 results. Is Allah, dare I say it, a Zionist? Yeah. You can search the Quran for Israel and we will get plenty of it. But Palestine, no. It's because Palestine is, the Arabs are the indigenous, the Palestinian people. Zakaria said Jay Dyer is based. That's very based. He is based. I do find his commentary on some things very, very disagreeable. I don't agree with it. But he is one of those people that I would vastly disagree with. But I have lots of respect for him because I think he's very intelligent and insightful. Elite RSR said, what do you think about Geert Wilders? What do I think about Geert Wilders? I'm overdoing it on purpose. I like his firm stance against Islam. Although I'm not entirely, I don't know about his, I don't know. It's very difficult to root for a politician or a political party that is fixated on a certain issue that I agree with strongly, but whose political perspectives could in the long run also bring some things that are not very pretty for society overall. I don't know. I'm just in general a little bit cautious with such politics, but I like his stuff on Islam. Definitely. I will read 2 more super chats here that just came in and then I have to leave. Angel Jibril said, why is Bukhari better than Muslim? Bukhari is more encompassing, more thoroughly organized. It is also, it is considered the number 1 in Islamic studies. Number 1. So they are the two Sahihs, which are both considered the 2 most authentic Sahih hadith books. Additionally, there are 4 other books which form the 6 hadith books together. But if you went from most reliable and most trusted to least trusted among those reliable books, Sahih Bukhari would be on the number one. So it will be you will have the highest guarantee for citing something that lots of people actually trust and consider totally accurate. Peter Avery said it's also the first major work, I think. I'm not sure when those two guys left. Peter Avery made a super chat. Thank you so much. And finally, Peter Avery said, God's a flying spaghetti monster. Indeed, it is. Alhamdulillah. God is indeed exactly that. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for supporting this channel. Thanks for being here today with me and for changing the lives of millions of people. Larry David. Oh, hey, Larry David, what's up? Curb Your Enthusiasm is one of my favorite shows ever. Definitely one of my 2 top comedy shows. It's not the number one, though. The number one would be It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love that show. I love that show. I love every bit of it. But Curb Your Enthusiasm is fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, Larry David said, when are you jumping on Piers? I don't know. When will Piers Morgan invite me? Piers Morgan should invite me, and I will tell him everything about Islam and about Hamas. Let's harass Piers Morgan and tell him, how about you invite this guy? He will humiliate you. Why do you always talk behind the screen? He will humiliate you. He will destroy you. Let's do it like like Muhammad Hijab's audience and the Islamist audience generally does. Maybe if we make it look like I'm here to attack him and destroy him and humiliate him, maybe he will invite me. If I agree with him, maybe he will just not invite me. We don't know. So maybe we should all send him mass tweets and messages and emails saying, why do you not invite the apostate prophet? Are you scared? You're shaking. You will be humiliated. You will be destroyed. You will be destroyed. You're finished. You're finished.
You're finished already. Look at me. Look at me. You know you're done.
Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I will be back very soon. I might go live again tonight with David Wood, depending on what happens. We'll be back soon. Always a pleasure. Always great to be here with everyone. Have a fantastic day. And as always, stay away from terrorism. No, stay away from Hamas. Or
stay away from Islam. Stay away from Islam. Stay away from Islam.
That, yeah.